'Cause I love you, baby.
Greetings, everybody. Welcome to the Sunday Show After Dark. I'm your host, Forrest Valkai. That's Frozen Seth over there, whose camera is currently frozen.
Oh, hold on.
Welcome,
hold, please.
to the
Hold,
Sunday
please. Why
Show.
am I frozen?
You just got it's this god awful Zoom system. You just gotta start and then stop your camera again.
All right,
Just
hold,
turn the camera off and
please.
on.
Okay, am I in motion now?
Yeah, now we're good. Yeah,
All
now we
right,
got you.
good. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, Zoom. Thank you.
Well,
very much.
it's a great thing that Jimmy insists that we all use. It's so cool and awesome and
I'll
fun.
let you guys have that out. I'll leave that cage match to you two.
Yeah,
So
it's great.
I don't have the zoom out on my lens, so it looks like I am a giant, it's almost disembodied head compared to you in your sexy studio. So hope everybody
I can get
understands.
closer. I can squeezle up in
Yeah,
here.
do
We can do
that,
the show
so-
like this. It'll be all right. Yeah.
All right.
Hey, everybody.
Hey.
Welcome to the Sunday Show After Dark. It's the Sunday Show After Dark, and you're watching it now. We got a great show for everybody today, as I'm joined by my dear friend Seth Andrews. And now you get to tune in and watch him take this seriously and do his job like a professional for 3 hours, while I don't.
Well, we'll see.
If-
We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. I don't know.
If you're a theist, if you believe in a god or gods, if you believe the Bible is a good book, if you believe that we need Jesus in our lives, if you believe that anti-theism isn't the answer, if you want to tell us why we should be Christians too, this is the show for you. Number on the bottom of the screen there is 720-619-2288. Pick up the phone and dial that in. If you're outside of the country, you can use the web link in the description to call in that away, and you'll talk to our call screener and then hopefully to us as well. What kind of calls are you hoping to get today, dude?
Just some a coherent assembling of vowels and consonants would be relatively nice. Somebody who's
Yeah,
not a serial caller, who is so familiar that everybody knows not only what their name is, even if they change it, and not only knows who they are, even if they use a voice altering software, and doesn't already know their argument before they say it. That would be nice for me. So I'm kind of hoping we do hear something original tonight. But I mean, I'm good. I'm in a good place. It's been a good day. The weather's gorgeous here in Oklahoma. We've been out doing honeydews all day. I just finished watching about 3 consecutive episodes of this. I'm a sucker for this time of year, especially for tornado documentaries, because you and I both live in Tornado Alley. And I found this, after a while you start to, you've seen it. And I found a show called In the Eye of the Storm, where they take hundreds of surveillance and cell videos and they assemble them in a way that I've never seen done before. And I have 2 thoughts. First of all, I get it. You're in the middle of the tempest. You think you're going to die. One lady began praying, to the Virgin Mary in the front seat of her car. She was hoping that Mary would intervene on her behalf because apparently Jesus needs an intermediary. And then other people are screaming out to God, Jesus, God, Jesus, God. I get it. Like, I have a lot of compassion for that people in moments of desperation. They call out, okay? But they survive, but there's $1 billion in damage, and somebody 2 miles over is dead, and they always use the word miracle. And I just think, what's the standard for miracles at this point? Like, how many people who are not you dead, but you live? When does the cost on that become not a miracle? How do you quantify all that? The second thing is, because they use some of this footage, and I say this in love, meteorologist and storm chaser Reed Timmer, you need to shut the fuck up, okay? I literally am watching Reed Timmer stuff, admiring his accomplishments. He has a PhD in meteorology. His contributions to storm chasing are wonderful. The guy cannot shoot footage without screaming the obvious every second and a half. Tornado on the ground, EF4 fills the frame. 200-mile-an-hour winds. Tornado on the ground, wedge tornado. Yes, I see it. Yeah, it's shaped like a wedge. Thanks, Reed. We have debris. Literally, there's construction material falling on the Dominator. Yes, I know we have debris. Then he screams, it's on the ground, tornado, 500 more times. I have to turn the sound off to watch Reed. And it's supposed to be exciting. So anyway, that's what I've done with my day. I went out to enjoy the beautiful weather. And then I came in to watch neighborhoods and entire municipalities get torn to shreds by part of God's intelligent design while I'm yelling at Reed Timmer. That's been my day. So, and one more thing, by the way, as we populate the switchboard, I want to thank you. Thank you for turning every comment section of mine into people using the quote from the video that you posted. I can't even describe. He had me do a cameo, folks, and I think it's going to mark me for the rest of my life. You want to set that up? What you have done to me?
I'm genuinely proud that this is the second time that you have accused me of irrevocably altering your career and destroying your life this year. And we're in the second quarter.
I'm terrified. Every time I see a call or a text from Forrest, I have a moment where I think, should I answer this? What will the reputational cost be to me for whatever happens next? Because the first thing he had me do was join him and Erica on, what do you call those? Just the bad photo shoot?
We did a JCPenney family photo shoot, and it was beautiful.
We're in there. They've got me in Jeffrey Dahmer glasses. My hair is parted over. I looked like the creepiest dude. We did all sorts of wacky poses, some in costume. And after that hour, I thought, these images will haunt me until they'll probably be shown at my memorial service. So thank you for that. And then he asked me to do a cameo on a video. What was the piece that you were going after? The creationist classroom where they were talking to all of these eager beaver students about how creationism is right and science has proved God, right?
So I'm just gonna. I know we're saving these photos for live shows, so I'm not gonna show too many. I was gonna show one. Are you cool with that?
You're gonna pull them up?
I'm gonna show just one that I think is a good representation of how that day went. That I think everyone should see. Maybe just like this one, So good.
We are blessed. Thank you.
It's unbelievable. I could not have gone better if I tried. I couldn't. There's no way I could have made it better than it was. There's no way I could. By the way, those sweaters, I ordered matching sweaters, and 2 of them arrived on time. And so I frantically, while they were setting up, sprinted into JCPenney and found the Shaquille O'Neal collection on clearance. And that is what we are wearing triple XL Shaquille O'Neal official sweaters.
Did you buy some outfits for us? We shot photos, and then you immediately went to the counter and returned them.
I spent I didn't return it. I spent like over $1,000 on that shoot. Dude. It was so worth it. So worth every
We are howling in the photography room. We are howling. I think the one of the managers came in. It's just like, what in the hell is going on?
Had to come help.
And then she ended up staying for pretty much the rest of the shoot because she was having a good time. Oh my gosh, that was awesome.
And then the last thing that you did also, let me get I gotta pull up my own stupid channel. So it's in the last episode. So Genesis Apologetics, my old nemesis. I do the Reacteary episodes about them, and they have these short videos called their classroom series where they have like, it's the meme. It's the atheist professor says something stupid, and this kid in the front row who's super Christian debunks evolution, and everyone claps. And So I did like 4 videos going over all their terrible, because they're all these same classroom videos. They're all just the same bullshit over and over. And so at the end of my final video on the series, I wanted to end it with something really good. And so we recreated one. So I just put a link in the chat to that video on my channel. And if you go just to the end of that video, there's around the 20
Right near the end,
the 24 minute. Yeah, right on the 24 and a half minute mark is when that starts. And Seth came out and helped film and set everything up. And of course, I'm not going to waste that opportunity to get him to say something embarrassing. And so we recreate these classroom videos with me being the stupid creationist teacher and like the super smart evolution kids who just know basic logic and stuff. And I got Seth to say that he was a 14-year-old boy. And then I took a screenshot of that and put the words, "I'm a 14-year-old boy." And somehow or another, that image started popping up in comment sections all over the internet.
Everywhere.
I don't know who put it there.
Everywhere. It's like it's going to stick to me for the rest.
I only posted it like 5 times. And then from there, somebody else, I guess, decided to run with it.
That's not the best part of the whole video. For me, you know, we've all seen, it's all a riff on God's Not Dead, right? You've got either the hard atheist professor and all of the eager God-believing kids convince the hardened atheist professor that he is wrong after all, or vice versa, right? And it's a very empty calorie scenario. And at the end of your video, when you turn the tables, I don't know who it was in the classroom, but at the finale, everybody breaks into applause, and he stands up from his desk and screams, "Science sucks! Science sucks!"
Yeah, dude. That's my friend Ryan. If anybody was going to be in that video, I had to make sure. Ryan has been my best friend since junior high, and I knew he could pull that off. It was so, that wasn't even something I asked him to do. He just knew that that's what it needed.
He was in the moment. He was so embedded deeply in his character that it just came out of him. He's very method. I think, he's a creationist actually for the entire morning leading up to that.
He brought it.
He brought it organically to the scene. Anyway,
converted just for the show.
Anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there. And by the way, for those who think what Forrest was doing was actually helping to populate part of a show that we had done. So if you're like, holy shit, he spent money on this. Yes, but it was part of a tour that he and Erica and I did in Tulsa and may do somewhere else down the way. We're looking at opportunities. But I will say, when we showed those images to the 300 people in Tulsa, it brought the house down. And they were
it was great,
horrified and entertained to the nth degree. And yes, eventually you will see what Forrest has wrought. I don't know when, but you will see it.
I'm telling when we are talking about taking that series on the road, and we're looking at ways to do that tour. We're looking at a couple of different options on like how we can do that and where we can take it and place we can do it. And I personally think that when we do it, like at least one of those, the one with the glasses, especially, I think we can take out a billboard in that area. You know what I mean? Like I would pay for that. I would cover that's absolutely.
No, I'm gonna look. I look like I should register when I move. I do not want that photo to define me.
In that one, yeah. No, I mean the tech startup one where we all have the thick rimmed glasses.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
That's a billboard right there with that, and then the title of the show and everything. Oh yeah.
All right.
Anyway, we got big stuff in the works, y'all, so stay tuned. Make sure you visit our websites from time to time to see what we're up to. Stay in touch. Check our social medias. Like, comment, and subscribe. With that, we've got already a couple of callers on the line, and we'll jump into them here in just 1 second. Before we do, I just want to remind everybody, numbers on the bottom of the screen, 720-619-2288. And we got more great shows for you also. Great in quotation marks. Tomorrow, it'll be myself and Erica, the Gutsick Gibbon, will be here for Skeptalk, so clear your calendars because we're going to be taking evolution calls all night long. And as always, other science deniers are welcome. So creationists are welcome, flat earthers are welcome, cryptozoologists are welcome, race realists are welcome, transphobes are welcome, people who believe in chemtrails and everything else. You're welcome to call in, talk to two scientists about the stuff we're talking about. Big shout out, as always, to Eric from Human Subspecies, you stupid snowflake piece of shit, please call in, you sensitive little bitch. I would love to hear you get triggered and scream yourself into non-existence and hang up on yourself because you asked a question and couldn't even handle the answer for it. Always have a door open for you, you dumb sack of crap. And then we've got also Chewed Gum the next day on Tuesday with Taylor and Alyssa. Then we've got The Hang Up with Matt and Aaron Rabinowitz on Wednesday. Then we've got TACIS with Josie and Luxander on Thursday. Then we got Devangelicals coming up on Saturday. I don't know, Sarah, and I don't think we have a second host on that yet, but I'm not sure. And then all the way back around to Sunday, where we got the Sunday show with Matt and Seth again. If you want to see more Seth, he'll be on next week. And then the Sunday show after dark with me again and Eric, Skeptics and Scoundrels. So if you like this duo, you don't get to see it next week, but you get to see us separate. And that'll be exciting for you.
Speaking of anti-science, Oklahoma just passed this law expanding who can sell raw milk to consumers. Raw. This is all part of the RFK juniorification of the food industry. And they're a local sort of a farm to table type shop, and they just posted, hey, we now have raw milk. We've had so many calls and requests. We are now stocking raw milk. We're so excited about it. And the whole time I'm like, well, enjoy the E. coli and salmonella. This whole natural good, anything we've tampered with bad, thing drives me crazy.
Really
but I was reading it. I was having a cost benefit. Like, do I go into the comments section and actually have this conversation because I feel a civic duty to do so? But I also know that nobody's listening. Like, they aren't going to care. But that was my anti-science foray. That happened about 45 minutes ago. So don't drink raw milk.
Don't drink raw milk, y'all.
Yeah.
Pasteurization, it's a cool thing. It's a cool thing that we know how to do. There's no reason for you to drink raw milk unless you just really like parasites and harmful bacteria. Which, you know what? Maybe you do. Maybe you do. And that's I don't kink shame. Do you?
Little protein or parasites protein. If they're protein, that's some protein in your milk there.
Exactly.
So, yeah, enjoy that.
I'm now stalling just a little bit because we had the first call that we have two theists on the line, and one of them is more of a science call, and I want to take that one second. I was going to let this person who called in who said that he wants to prove that we have souls, but he's dropped and is now back in the screening room. So I'm just kind of hanging out for just a second to let that happen. Because I want to take that call first because it is the nature of the show, and the other one's more science, and it's going to be more me being real spicy.
I had while we're stalling and actually filling, which you and I are really good at doing, and I rather enjoy.
Yeah.
So I had a conversation with a MAGA associate 2 days ago. I had reached out. I normally don't do this, but I was so pissed off after the Truth Social image by Trump of Obama, Biden and Pelosi swimming in feces at the National Mall, which was one of the latest squillion outrages and childish, unbelievable things that are coming out of official accounts. And so I just reached out and I said, are you okay with this? And we ended up in a conversation. And it was as horrifying as you would think. I've had few conversations in the last year where so many hard line positions were so unconsidered. Well, have you thought about this? Well, how do you feel about his social media behavior and the Rob Reiner thing and saying he's going to obliterate Iran's entire civilization, including the innocent and the revolutionaries and the babies? How do you feel about the Obamas as monkeys, and all that? Well, all of this. And then we got into experts in their fields. And we were talking about RFK Jr. And I said, how do you feel about having somebody who is running our health department who doesn't have a medical degree and has absolutely no medical training or experience whatsoever?
Yeah.
Are you okay with this? Uncomfortable pause. Well, education comes in many forms. That's true.
Hey,
it is so true. But in this specific context, we do have to talk about credentialed leaders of our science-based departments. So that's a bit of a different category. Well, sometimes people outside the system have a different vantage. She's doing all this. And I said, look, you go into surgery. Would you want someone with no medical degree and no training to tell your surgeon how to operate on you? Pause. Nope. Welcome to the United States, insane America, right?
You get a call from your doctor saying, "Hey, you have cancer. We need to take care of this right now." And then a plumber walks in, and you're like, "What do you do?" Well, education comes in different forms. You have to understand. Like, this dude is a lawyer who has already gotten people killed and doesn't know how to read a medical paper. Doesn't know how to read a scientific paper. Literally at his confirmation was talking about how black people need different vaccines than white people and shit. Like, dude doesn't know anything about anything. Is literally swimming in sewage.
No vaccine has proven to be effective. And when he was confronted with his own quote, he denied it until it was played back to him. I just can't believe it. So,
and I feel the same way when I talk about Trump, because like, people get mad that I call Trump a fascist, or I equate him to Hitler, to talk about Nazis with ICE and all these things. You literally, I love asking, just, do you think it was bad when Hitler talked about talked about immigrants being non-human animals with bad genes that caused them to commit more crimes? Well, yeah, obviously. Okay, actually, Trump said all of that.
Yeah.
And so, do you not get... That's a whole other conversation. We will go there forever.
No, I got you. No, we went there too. How do you feel about the head of the Department of Homeland Security being a plumber? Like, how do you feel about this?
Yeah, that's what we've got now. Mark Wayne Dumbfuck Mullen from our state of Oklahoma. What we have a phrase here in Oklahoma: all hat and no cattle. With Mark Wayne Mullen, it's all hat and no fucking brain. The dude has not ever had a thought that Donald Trump didn't expressly allow him to have in writing. And he is currently up here, supporting the very fucking rioters and insurrectionists that he hid his fucking coward ass from immediately before writing a whole thing about how I'll bridge the gap and I'll lead the charge, like as if he was some fucking military guy. Absolute joke of a person. Worst politician. Again, I'll talk about him for a long time. That dude sucks so bad. We've got callers on the line. We have the guy who said he wants to talk about a soul. We're going to take that call first. And then we actually have two other theists now, both of which are going to be a lot of fun. So 3 theists on the line. We're starting with Jack, calling in all the way from the UK, who wants to talk about souls and why we have them. Jack, you are our first caller for the day. You're on the line with Forrest and Seth. How are you doing today?
Hello. Can you hear me?
Hello. I can hear you just fine.
Thank you. Right. I'll be honest. I've talked to you several times in the past, Forrest. I've always been a bloody fool, but I'm not going to be like that anymore. I'm very sorry for what's happened in the past. But I literally want it. I believe I can prove to you and Seth about a soul.
Okay. So, first of all, what is a soul?
A soul is the afterlife.
A soul
what
is
comes
the
out
afterlife.
Of your body, what comes out of your body as you're passing away.
I'm not being funny with you, except it is very funny. What comes out of your body after you pass away is piss and shit.
No. May you type in, because I know you got, your computers. May you type in Vicky, and I believe it's UMIPEG, please. You and Seth.
Spell that last name again.
Sorry. I think it's UMIPEG. Something like Umapeg and a peg.
Oh, okay.
Thank you for it.
Okay. Is it? No, that's not right.
It would help if you were a
Near
little bit
death
more
out of a body
prepared before you
experience.
call us and ask us
Near.
and prompt us.
I found near death out of body experience in a blind person. Is that what I'm looking at?
Yes. Yes.
Okay,
Forrest.
so it's a near death. So it's NDEs. So when we talk about near death experiences, you're going to tell me that this person had a near death experience, and that is demonstration of the afterlife. Yeah.
I'm not personally Forrest, no. I'm just going off is it Bruce Grayson his name is, I believe? Or Sam Tania? I'm not American. As I said, I'm from the UK.
Yep.
I'm just reading articles. What I've seen here in the UK, I think it's Bruce Grayson, Sam Tania. Is it Tania?
I couldn't tell you. I don't know what any of this is. I'm looking up this case you told me to look up. I'm still looking up the thing that you asked me to look up, and I'm seeing that in this paper about this person, there are see here, this is the a documentation of 31 cases of blind persons who had near-death experiences or out-of-body experiences, 10 of which were not medically close to death at the time of their experiences. Let's see here. 31 of the 31 people in the sample, 14 were born blind, 11 lost their sight after they were 5 years old, and 6 were highly visually impaired, but not actually like blind the way we would talk about it normally, colloquially. 25 of 31 reported visual sensations during their experiences, as did 9. Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, Forrest. The person I'm talking about was completely blind from birth.
Right. She's one of them. I looked up what you told me. I looked up what you told me, and I found a paper that was based around that. It included that story and several others, and that's what I'm looking at.
Okay.
But I found I've got a bunch of different stuff here, and that's just one case study. So, blind or not,
can I give you another one? And
well, we're still on this one.
This has nothing to do with an NDE.
Okay, so wait a minute. So just to be clear, Jack,
Anna?
you started this call by saying, "Here's this really important NDE." I have now started looking into it and learning about it, and before I even get to talking about it, we're now going to move on from NDEs entirely and talk about something else.
Well, no, I believe you dismissed that.
I haven't. I just looked it up.
Okay.
I was just reading the details.
Then. What did you and Seth thinking about it then? Hey, Seth.
You want to start, or do you want me to start?
Go ahead.
So the issue that I have is that the people who are born blind still have a visual cortex in their brain that can still be activated and do stuff. And I don't know in every case, but like, it's not unreasonable to say that people are having what they would call visual experiences while they're near death. That's not too crazy. And I would say completely irrespective of whether they're blind or not, the same thing that I always say about near-death experiences. Everybody's near-death experiences tend to line up with their own personal religious beliefs. They can't all be true. There are plenty of people who don't have near-death experiences. There's plenty of near-death experiences that are nondescript and non-specific that don't directly point to one religion or another, and none of them can be replicated in laboratory settings, and they all rely on anecdotal stories. So, like, none of it really tells me anything more than the fact that when the brain is dying, it tends to hallucinate. And that's not a surprise at all, considering all the other ways the brain hallucinates. Do you have anything else?
Jump in quickly.
Yeah, please jump in.
You're talking about a miracle of healing. That is not the afterlife. Even if you have a soul leaving your body, going somewhere, you would be going to an afterlife.
I
So I
haven't
don't
mentioned
qualify that as
anything
an
about
afterlife.
Mr.
And I
Seth.
don't think you would need to possess a soul to have the restoration of sight through some supernatural event. You wouldn't
Mr.
have to have a
Andrews,
soul to
I
be
haven't
healed.
mentioned anything about healing.
You were talking about
I'm
someone's
a
sight
bit confused
restored.
to what you're saying, sir.
Are you
No,
saying
he was
that
saying.
this person went somewhere and saw something in another life and came back to a sightless body?
No.
Okay. Well,
She
what are
was
you
just a
saying?
buzzer body. She was just a buzzer body in the operating theatre. I'm not sure
Okay.
Oh, that would mean she left her body
what you're
because
on
she
about,
was dead,
Mr.
and she had
Andrews.
sight in the afterlife, right? In the post-physical body,
No,
that she was able to see according to her account. And
No.
that proves a soul. Is that what you're saying?
can you say that again, please? I didn't quite catch
Let
what
me
you
ask you
said.
this question. Have you called this show under any other names?
I'll be honest, yes, I have, when I was stupid.
Yep.
I'm not being like
What
that
other
tonight.
names have you used when you've dialed into this show? I said something at the beginning of the broadcast about a coherent series of vowels and consonants by people who don't call all the time. So I think this may apply. What other names have you used when you've dialed in, and why would you use them?
Because I was drunk and stupid. And as
There
I
you go.
said to your call handler when I first called, I wanted a genuine conversation tonight, and I'm sorry.
Right.
And I am sorry, but I literally wanted it. I
will.
believe
All
I
right,
got
hang
the
on.
proof for the
I will
stone.
let Forrest decide if we proceed. I myself have not heard
Okay,
any
thank you.
compelling evidence, anything that we could actually test, which would
No,
prove a soul. Okay?
I
Yeah, I
have
wanna
got
know-
another one.
The last time you called in, were you the one? Because I talked to somebody from the UK recently who was talking about how he can guarantee I go to heaven because he prays about it. Is that you, or is that somebody else?
You could what, sorry?
The last time I talked to somebody from the UK on a recent show, and I don't remember if it was you or not, so I'm just asking. I brought up the fact that in the Bible, Jesus repeatedly says that the one unforgivable sin is blasphemy against the Holy Spirit specifically. And because I have done that and continue to do that and will continue to do that from now on, that I am now, no matter what, nothing could ever save my soul. Jesus says so. And the person I was talking to said, no, I can get you into heaven because all I have to do is pray and I guarantee God will do it. Was that you, or was that somebody else?
No, I'm confused what you're saying, but
Okay, that's fine. I thought it was you. No big deal. In that case, we'll just jump back to this thing really quick. And just where we're at now is you brought up NDEs. Neither Seth nor I are convinced by NDEs. We have both looked into them. We are both
Okay.
unconvinced. We both find them uncompelling. If you want to do one more, I'd be happy to hear one more thing because you sound to be in good faith now. But like, I don't. Excuse me, I don't have time for too much more.
I appreciate that, Forrest. Thank you very much. Can you type in Anna Atharina? Oh, Atharina. I can't pronounce the name.
No idea what you're saying.
Hannah?
Yeah. Hannah, got it. What about it? What about Hannah? Jack, are you there?
I certainly
Jack, can you hear us? I was going to give him one more chance. Because at least he apologized about being a dick before. That's something, you know. If people can't grow and change, then what's the point in calling them out? You know what I mean? So like, if he's going to be like, "Hey, I'm sorry, I was a bit of a prick,"
I
want to
didn't
talk
hang
about
up on
this.
him. I didn't hang up.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I
it's- yeah.
saw a tremendous amount of people in the chat say that it was indeed that guy. Now, it's hard to demonstrate one way
The
or the other.
chat doesn't know anything about anything.
They are really just in. Okay, all right. I'm just gonna.
I don't know.
Walk.
He's still on the line. I'm still waiting to hear about Hannah. Who's Hannah? Jack, I'll give you a couple more seconds, and then we got to move on. All right, Jack, I'm sorry. If you can hear me, we can't hear you. Feel free to listen in and tell I'm not lying, and you didn't hear the beep. You know I didn't mute you. So we got to move on, Jack, but sorry, NDEs are not compelling to us because not everybody has them. They're not all the same. The people who do have them and they're really specific, they line up with their personal religious beliefs. And when we talk about, oh, I saw this and this and this, there have been studies on this where they'll put like a thing written somewhere where you can't see it from where the person's laying, like up above a light or something like that. What does that paper say? They don't know. What color was this person wearing? They don't know. There's that whole thing about like the shoe on the window was a big one. Like, oh, they saw the shoe on the window. And they couldn't have possibly known that until they recreated it. And you could absolutely see it. And it was just a thing this person saw while half lucid dreaming. Like, sorry, it's not that crazy. Anyway.
I'm just watching chat literally agree with you. They're like, we suck. Don't listen to chat. We don't know what we're talking about. They're just like, I think I love this audience. They just get it. They go with it. That's funny.
Our chat yes ands us on everything, and I love that about them. It's fantastic. Okay. Do you want to do? I'm looking at the top left number when I'm reading these. Do you want to do line number 4 or line number 6 next? Because they both sound really fun.
Sound like he's on a quest for the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow would be fine with me. Just surprise me, Forrest.
I mean, that's what I'm asking you is how pissed off do you want to be? Because I've got 2 people here that are definitely going to get on my nerves, but
let's, you know what, ease me into it. So let's do the more benign call, and that'll give me a chance to align my chakras, and then we will go hard.
Sweet.
Would that be okay? Okay.
Yeah, it sounds great. Let's talk to this'll be, it'll be fun. Let's talk to Charles, who's 86 years old, pronouns he, him, who wants to talk about transgender people and capitalism. Charles, you were on the line with Forrest and Seth. How you doing today?
Good, very good.
All right, Charles, what did you want to talk about specifically? Let's start with one thing and move on, because you got 2 huge topics here on the call screen. So where do you want to go first?
Let's talk about the trans topic first, because he disagrees with me.
The trans topic.
So what I got here on the note, it says the note caller is caller is calling in at the request of his trans granddaughter who is there and listening. So I'm guessing that's who I just heard.
Yeah.
Okay. So what question do you have, Charles?
I don't think I have any question. I understand there are people who are trans. I'm not sure what he's worried about.
Well, first of all, he just called me a he.
Yeah, I was gonna say so.
Okay,
so that's a she next to you.
I think I'll just. He was born a he. Now he calls himself she. Let's just call him it.
No, so that's just a shitty way to talk about your grandchild. So here's the reality. As far as you have known this person, as far as you have known this person, Charles, as far as you have known her, this person was assigned male at birth. A doctor took a casual glance at her giblets and said, this is probably a boy. And that's what you've known. And for a long time, people thought that sex and gender were the same thing. And so that's just the way that it was. We now know better. We have learned new things in science, and we learned that's not the case. And so now, as she has come to understand her gender identity, the same way that people might take on a nickname or might, change their religion or change their political party or whatever else, or learn about their sexuality, anything. As people get older and they learn more about themselves, she has learned that actually she's not a boy. And so she's now coming to you as someone she loves and saying, hey, this is who I really am. Your granddaughter is being very kind and letting you know something very vulnerable about herself because she loves you and she wants to know you to know about her. And you are throwing that in her face and telling her that her experience and her existence isn't real. So I'd appreciate if you didn't do that first.
Okay.
So, like, I'm a biologist. I would love to talk to you about the difference between sex and gender if you have any questions about it. If you don't have any questions, as you said before, you can just take my word for it, I guess. But the fact of the matter is, it is the academic consensus in biology, psychology, sociology, anthropology, and biomedical sciences that sex and gender are different things. They're not always congruent with each other. And so all you have when you have someone who's transgender is that their gender identity doesn't align with their sex assigned at birth. Someone looked at them and said, "You're probably a boy," and they said, "No, I'm not." Mistakes happen. That's it. That's the whole long and short of it, man.
Okay, I accept that.
Awesome.
Ask him if he's going to call me a girl.
Well, hold on there.
Well,
we'll get there.
Yeah.
So
Names are
Charles,
are habitual. You know, you can't change your habits just by instantaneously. You have to work.
no, but
at
you
it.
can't.
I've been telling him.
But exactly. But Charles, that you just said is so important. You work at it. You put in the effort. Like if my wife's name is Amber. If tomorrow she came to me and said, "You know what? I really fucking I've always hated the name Amber. I want to go by Natalie now." I picked a random fucking name and I happened to actually pick fucking Seth's wife. That was not on purpose. I'm going to go by Jessica now. And it would take some effort for me to change that, but I love her and I'm gonna do that because that matters, right? That's her identity. That's her telling me who she is. So like, and this is not just a game of names. When we talk about someone's gender, that's something much more profound and important to them than just their name. So like, yeah, if you're calling your granddaughter a he and then an it, you're being not just really disrespectful, you're being really hurtful to them. You know what I mean? That kind of sucks, man. So I think you should put in the effort. I think you should try really hard to make that change and to build that new habit and to get to know her and ask her, "Why do you feel this way? What's going on? Help me learn about you." And don't throw that back in her face.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah.
No problem.
I think if I had anything to add, Charles, just at the very end of the conversation is, what does it cost you to validate, what does it take away from you? Whatever someone else, however they are, however they identify, however they are most comfortable in their own skin and happiest and how they want to navigate this world, their journey being about them. What would it cost you to make that adjustment? I don't think it would really cost you much of anything. I know what it's like to slip and get into old habits. I've got, I'm thinking of, I won't name her. I don't want to throw her reputation out here, but it was someone in our tennis community who was biological male, identified as male for 30 years, and then switched. And, you don't know someone for a decade, and then that immediately snaps. And it has taken a while for me to make that switch, but there's no malice. There's no dehumanization. I'm genuinely on that journey, making the effort, trying to do better and better and better, because it cost me nothing. It cost me nothing. They're happy and good for them. And so I think if we can start the conversation with what does that really cost me, if it makes them happy, that might be a good part of the conversation.
Definitely.
You got to remember here. I'm 86 years old. I don't have that long to go. It's a little. I'm getting a little stiff in making mental changes. It's not.
I get it.
Not as simple.
Well,
I get it.
Let me tell you that as a biologist, I can tell you also that making those mental changes and keeping your mind active like that is great for longevity, both mentally and physically. So it's good for you, actually. It is actually healthy for you to put your mind to work this way and to learn new things, not just about like how to talk to somebody in this way, but like if you want to dig into the science on this topic, or if you just want to ask your granddaughter questions about herself and get to know what's going on in her experience so you can try to put yourself in her shoes and try to think outside of your box for a minute. That's a good thing for your brain, especially as you get older. Like, that's a great way to keep your mind active and to make sure that you live longer and think longer. So like what I think I want to commend you. I think you did a good thing by calling in today and talking to people who disagree with you, especially the fact that you did it at her request. That's awesome. I think that shows that you're willing to challenge yourself and to change your mind when presented with evidence. And that's the best thing that I think anybody could ever do. So I think at this moment, I think, you owe your granddaughter a hug and maybe an apology, and then you guys can have an amazing relationship together because she needs you, man. She needs a loving family. Do you know the greatest risk factor for transgender and other LGBT youth in the country right now is the anxiety, depression, and suicidality because their family members reject them and mistreat them, and they feel like they have nowhere to go. She needs you. She's a kid who needs her grandpa. So I think you've already done a great thing by challenging yourself, and I hope you're there for her.
No, I have no problem with that. But when you get older and you're in the habit of doing something, it takes a little while for the habit to go away.
That's okay.
So
if you mess up, Charles, if you mess up, apologize, correct it, and try again next time. I have plenty of transgender friends, and I've messed up before. We've had transgender callers. I've messed up before. I used the wrong pronoun or whatever like that. And I say, fuck, I'm sorry. That was my bad. And I do it and I change it and we move on. It's okay. So I don't think that's going to be a problem. What matters is that you're putting in the effort. And the fact that it's going to be tricky for you, that makes it mean a lot more. That makes it more special. That shows you really love her.
Okay. All set?
No, there's the other topic that we wanted to discuss.
What's that?
The topic being that you think capitalism is good for poverty.
Oh, capitalism.
Well, why don't you call back on that one, Charles? Because I think we've covered enough for this one, and that's a totally different thing. Right. And I don't want to. I think this is a really positive note, and I don't want to get into a yell and screaming match with you about capitalism right now. But okay. I think you should call back on that one sometime. I host every Sunday night, and I'd love to talk to you anytime.
Okay.
One last thing from me, the granddaughter.
Hi.
I've been telling him to call me Lucia for 3 months now.
Well, he's learning. He's figuring it out, and it sounds like he's open for change. So, like, I think it'll take him a little bit of time. He's going to mess it up, and I know that can be hard for you to listen to somebody mess up, and you have to be patient with somebody fucking up your identity. I get how that's frustrating, but it sounds like he's open to change. You just, yeah. Charles, are you cool with that? You cool with?
What's that?
I was just asking, are you cool with that? Because it sounds like Lucia was a bit frustrated about having her name changed and everything like that. So as long as you're cool supporting her there as well, that'd be really cool.
No problem. We can do that.
Awesome. I appreciate you, Charles. I know it's going to be tricky. I know it's going to take some time. I appreciate you putting in the effort, and I know Lucia does as well, because, man, it's weird. I get what you're saying. The cool thing for me, as somebody who digs into this stuff, I learn new stuff every day, and I'm used to it. But I know that a lot of people out there, like you said, you get set in a way. So the fact that you are willing to make that change, even though you're set into something, that shows how much you care about your kid, your grandkid, and that's a really, really important thing. That's good on you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Lucia.
Charles.
Thank you, Charles. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Massive W's for Charles. I'm going to be real with you. I expected that call to be grumpy. I expected to be frustrated. It sounds like Charles just needed a second opinion, and all right. We learn and we grow. We get better. Even at 86 years old, keep learning, keep growing, keep caring, keep loving. That's awesome. That's the best way to stay young.
An email from a woman who was in her 80s who just only recently deconstructed out of her faith. And it was like she had lived decades and decades and decades. And at this point, came to that moment and was able to dive in and, do the hard thinking and give herself permission to change. And she was liberated. and she just wanted to share her story. And I'm like, that's just a great case study. It's it's never too late to pursue a good idea, for sure.
It sounded like Lucia was pretty frustrated. Like she was calling into tattle, and I get it. I get it. Like it's hard. It's hard having somebody you love and you trust not be there the way you want. But it sounds like Charles is ready to make that change, and that makes me happy. And it sounds like exactly what you're talking about. Just like it's never too late to change, never too late to learn, never too late to grow, never too late to be different. I cannot wait until I am 86 years old and I learn something that I've been fucking up and I get to change. You know what I mean? How miserable of a life to not be able to change. And that sucks. It's gonna be great, man. We got a fun road ahead of us.
Will you make it? Will you not have burned out like a supernova well before 86? At your energy level, I do wonder if maybe you're going to be a singularity and an entire new universe will begin long before.
I'm either going to spontaneously combust or get assassinated at this point. And like it's one or the other. That's it. That's all I got.
Okay. All right. All right.
Fucking what was it not? Oh, hold on. Let me just double check here to make sure that I've got the correct words. Yep. Was it not the great American poet Jail? There we go. Was it not the great American poet Eminem who once said, another day of monotony has gotten me to the point I'm like a snail. I've got to formulate a plot or end up in jail or shot. Success is my only motherfucking option. Failure is not. Words we can all live by.
Well, yeah. Put that on a greeting card for your loved ones later this year. I actually rather like the sentiment. So, yeah.
Let's talk to John, calling in from Arizona, who is a theist and a Trump supporter. Wanted to make sure to put that in there. Who says, I believe in God and I support Trump. That's what it says in the call screen here. John, you are on the line with Forrest and Seth. How you doing today?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm all right.
Yeah.
So what do you want to talk about?
This is all my personal opinion. I do believe in God. I believe in a spirit world and afterlife. And the way I think why it's necessary is I think when that people fall into moral relativism without God, and Nietzsche talked about this about 150 years ago, that it creates a sociopathic nihilism. Maybe not in all cases, but in a lot. If there's no belief in an afterlife, and even just as bad, it can lead down to the road of the occult. And Luciferians are the ones who convinced me. I don't know if you're familiar with people like Michael Aquino or Aleister Crowley or Albert Pike or Anton LaVey. They convinced me that there's an afterlife and a spirit world, and I want to be on the side of God who is good. I could be wrong, but that's what I believe.
Okay. So there's a few things here right away as we move in. Seth, looks like you have something you want to say.
No. Go ahead.
You hit a lot of points there. And I think the biggest one that jumps out to me, the thing that kind of covers all of it, is you're talking about moral relativism. Could you break down what you mean by that?
Yeah, without a sense of an afterlife, morals can be seen as culturally dependent or subjective, and that's that's a danger. That's a danger because without I mean I know we can make up our morals based on logic and what we believe is the right thing to do, but there's really nothing grounding them without an afterlife. Or I'm sure you disagree though, right?
I do, and I think the biggest issue that I have with this concept, you believe in the God of the Bible, right?
No, I'm an ally of Christianity, but I'm not a Christian.
Okay, so you don't believe that the Bible is true?
No, I do not. My father was raised strict Southern Baptist, but he rejected it. So I believe in evolution, but I was convinced by Luciferians that there's a good and evil. Go ahead. I didn't mean to
Okay, but what God do you believe in then? Or does it have a name?
No, I mean, I guess the best way I would describe it to you is just a sense of a Manichaeanism or a Gnosticism. That
Mhm.
concept of good and evil. That there's good spirits and there's evil ones, and I want to be on the side of the good. Which
Okay.
is God.
And so God is good, you're saying. Is God, I should say this, is God a moral being? Like, does God have moral choices?
Well, God is more of a physical entity that ultimately judges us. So does God have moral choices? I guess I'm trying to get exactly what you mean. Like,
I mean, like, God judges us based on what?
On how we live our lives and how we treat others. But it gets kind of tricky because a lot of times.
Maybe I asked. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to get here. Like, I think I might have asked the question wrong, or maybe I didn't communicate properly. To what standard are we being judged? What is the moral standard that you're claiming this is? Is it God's opinion, or is it something beyond God?
I think it's God's opinion, a totality of action that we should try and be good.
So if we are being judged according to God's moral standard and God's moral framework, then it is still subjective morality. God is just the subject.
Well, it's an interesting way. It's an interesting way to. Is God subjective? That's a good question because if
God is a subject.
God would not be subjective like the way a person is subjective. I mean, God is the creator. If God is creator of all, then God is more than just subjective. Or do you disagree?
I do disagree. Does he have thoughts and opinions and feelings and emotions and experiences? It can be all of them. He can have all possible experiences. That's still a subjective experience. That is still a person. Yeah. That is still all this stuff passing through his interpretation, his opinion, and his judgment. So he is the subject in the subjective morality. And at the end of the day, that's only assuming that this thing exists. I still would be able to make the argument, and would rather make the argument, that morality is an evolved trait that is a cultural and biological thing. But that's a whole other conversation for later. Seth, what do you say? You look like you're fucking chomping at the bit.
No, I just, I've heard all these assertions about what God is or isn't and what God wants or doesn't want. How do you know any of that?
I could be wrong. I guess I get what I think moral behavior ultimately comes down to is a concept.
Hold on. I would like you to answer my question. How do you know the nature of God? If there is a God, how do you know what God is and what it wants?
I'm just telling you what I believe. I could be wrong.
I know you believe it. I'd like to know why.
Well, I was trying to explain that all moral behavior comes down to a conflict between the id and the superego. So for me, the superego would include the existence of God. I know if you're an atheist, you have maybe some philosophers you appeal to, or maybe some different things. But
all I'm hearing is, I made a leap. I kind of think, and what I want to know is how you would know that your claim is true.
Well, I certainly, if you're asking me to prove the existence of God, I can't. I'm just it's called faith for a reason, right? I mean,
it's called faith because it's not knowledge, right? This idea that you're telling us that faith is somehow a credibility builder is a bit problematic. Anybody, anywhere could make any claim and invoke faith. So if you bring that chip to the table, you really haven't brought anything to play with. And I'm interested, if you're going to call and make assertions about morality and link it to a higher power, I think a reasonable question is, how do you know there? How'd you go there, and how do you know, rather?
Well, I tried to explain it earlier that Luciferians convinced me of it. That there's
Yeah,
that
you
there's a
watched
spirit
Aleister
world, and I
Crowley
can
and you saw Anton LaVey, and somehow these other human beings and their behaviors and claims convinced you. That doesn't really help me, right? So
okay.
I
Do
don't
you
think
know
it's a
who Michael
difficult
McClendon is?
concept. I don't think it's a difficult concept to understand how people who are naturalists can understand the concept of harm, right? I was talking to Dr. Phil Zuckerman, sociologist, buddy of mine. I'm releasing a speech of his in just a few weeks about secular morality and this idea that we have evolved ethical systems. Our goal is to decrease the suffering and increase the joy. And we can root this back to our own survival as primates on this planet. We knew that pro-social ethical behaviors made us much more apt to survive and thrive. And we can understand what harm is. I don't buy that, well, it's all arbitrary and we wouldn't be able to gauge or at least call anything right or wrong without some objective moral standard and standard bearer. I don't buy that. I think it makes perfect sense to do less harm, to have less suffering, and to promote prosperity and goodness and safety benefits the tribe, which benefits me. Everybody wins. I don't think you need a God for that.
Oh, okay. So, well, there's a few things there, right? Do you believe that I think Rousseau was wrong, because the Rousseauian view is that humans are inherently good, and it's society that corrupts, and makes people do wicked things. And I think Rousseau got it backwards, and this actually coincides with the belief of Christianity of the idea of original sin.
I don't
I think
agree with Rousseau either. What does Rousseau have to do with your position?
That I think that people are innately malevolent. And the reason I say that is, if we look at chimpanzees, we know that like there's chimpanzees will go out. I learned this from Jordan Peterson, actually, that chimpanzees, who heard it from Jane Goodall, but chimpanzees will actually go out on raids, right, and find like an outlier chimpanzee and just tear it to shreds for the hell of it, right? So there is something in our nature that is extremely dark. And this is why.
What about all the? Hang on, and this is going to be more Forrest than me. What about all the families, the tribes, the packs? What about the groups of chimpanzees that engage in pro-social, protective behaviors that actually show affection and love and care for their young and their old, and will put their lives in danger to save or try to protect another, who grieve when there's a loss? What about all of the animals that actually demonstrate in an evolutionary model empathetic and pro-social behaviors? Are you just going to discount all those?
No, they do both. That's a fair point. It's
well, that sounds like human beings. But I don't think that humans are inherently immoral. I think there are aberrations. I think it's wildly complicated. But if everybody was out there killing and raping and maiming and stealing from everybody, we would not be alive. We would have just killed each other off by now. Mm-hmm. I think that also bad behaviors are amplified, right? Hundreds of millions of people loved John Lennon. It only took one man to assassinate him. And I think that we see bad behaviors are amplified. They're horrifying. They get a lot of headlines. But we don't see the acts of pro-social, ethical, good behaviors that happen that don't make the headlines, but they are part of our surviving and thriving. And they happen across the spectrum, religious people or not, Christians, Muslims, Sikhs, Hindus, Jewish people, seculars, agnostics, atheists, spirituals, whatever. It's a human thing. It's not a God thing. And I don't think that's unfair.
Yeah, I don't. Do you believe that we can get to morally proper decisions by logic? Because I don't think we can, because what happened. Go ahead. You said yes?
Why wouldn't it be logical to act in a pro-social way? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Forrest.
No,
I've had the mic for a while. Go ahead.
No, and I had it for the last two calls. No, it's frustrating to me that, like, we're talking about Jordan Peterson, who, shouldn't be taken seriously on this or really any other topic, as a way to dismiss what actual cultural anthropologists have to say about this issue, which is the opposite of what we're talking about here. And so, like, when we actually talk about how humans behave, I think Seth is absolutely right. You read a sexy headline about, oh my glob, this guy did this terrible, evil thing, that sticks into people's brains. A headline about somebody doing something good is rarely big enough to be a headline in the first place. And if it is, it's a flash in the pan just to give somebody something to get out of bed with in the morning. This kid raised a bunch of money to pay off a student or their school lunch debt or whatever like that. And then they hope you don't ask about why there was such a thing as school lunch debt. So, like, at the end of the day, the fact that we have a society at all tells you a lot about how well humans can get along just fine. We don't need a kind of society like we have today in order to do that. There are plenty of other cultures throughout history that have had much more egalitarian and anarchistic societies that worked along just fine without any of these issues. I think it's ridiculous to say that we, as animals, were living just raping and killing and poisoning and murdering and all this stuff until suddenly 2,000 years ago someone passed down a Western tradition that was like, hey guys, don't do this anymore, and then we all went okay, and we needed that. And frankly, to say that like humans need to be corralled and domesticated in this way, I think there's strong evidence against it, no real reason to believe it. And it just kind of diminishes the reality of everyday life for everyday people.
Well, I think it's difficult to say that we can get to morality from logic, because it all depends on how we put in a hierarchy, a set of principles. For example, right? Like pro-choice.
Do you think
right?
Do you think that in biomedical sciences and psychology we can learn what actually helps people live and thrive and like have their best lives? Do you think we can learn those things with biomedical sciences and psychology?
I do, but it's going to vary among cultures. So they have a much different idea.
I'm talking about
Islamic.
I'm talking about objectively. I can learn these things are carcinogenic. These things are mutagenic. These things actually benefit human health and longevity. These things cause undue stress and anxiety. There are cultural differences of like who likes what kind of music, but I can say these kinds of stimuli, these kinds of chemicals are hazardous. These kinds of stimuli, these kinds of chemicals are beneficial. I can make objective statements on those, right?
Well, yeah. Well, here's something interesting. Okay, that like in some places in the Islamic world, like Iraq, like the Sudan, they marry young girls, right? Which I think is more wrong, I would imagine.
And in the Christian world as well.
Well, not that young, but the point is if you look at a lot
absolutely
of the,
that young. Here in our state of Oklahoma, we just this last month just passed a law getting rid of child marriage, and like 30 of our Republican officials voted against it. So yes, that is still a thing that happens in the Christian world. Absolutely, yes. And if you want to say it doesn't happen anymore, that doesn't change it happening back in the day.
Well, they're not like in Iraq, the legal age of marriage. This is Sharia law. It's like age 9. Sudan is age 10 for girls. Look, it's not all that much. And this is why I find the left.
And it happens with Christians too.
Not that young. But
that young.
We actually, look, some of the main architects of queer theory actually agree with the Sharia law. There was several of the queer theorists who wanted to get rid of age of consent, like Foucault.
It sounds like you're jumping to a different topic.
No, I'm telling you part of the. I'm not shifting topics. I'm just pointing out to you that morality can differ among cultures. Look, I'll take I was mentioning it earlier that I'm pro-choice.
But that's not what I was asking you. That's not the point of what I was saying. Yes, morality can differ among cultures. You talked about an objective standard morality and how you can't get morality out of logic, or you can't logic your way to morality. My question was, isn't it true that we can come up with objective frameworks of human health and well-being with actual science? And the answer to that question is yes. We can know, even though there, of course, is always going to be fuzzy gray area on literally everything. There's always going to, apples are good for you. And if you eat nothing but apples every day, all day, you're going to be sick anyway. It's not going to be good for you. And lots of venoms and toxins and poisons that are bad for you, we can use actually to make life-saving medicines. So, like, At the end of the day, it's always wiggle room, but we can come up with objective standards. These things hurt people, these things help people, no matter what their culture is, right? And then we can use logic to say either selflessly or selfishly, do you want to live in a society where these things that we objectively know are harmful to humans, both physically and mentally, do you want to live in a society where those are prevalent? Objectively, no, I don't. I can say subjectively, I don't want to live in that society. Those are objectively harmful things. I can selfishly say, I don't want to do that. I can selflessly say, I don't want my friends and neighbors and relatives and loved ones to go through that. I can now logically say, we as a society should work to eliminate these harms and amplify these benefits. I can absolutely use logic and science and objectivity to come up with a moral framework, yes.
You're going to run into problems with the hierarchy. I'll give you some examples, okay? Like I said, I'm pro-choice, okay? But you tell me if there's any other variables you think, right? The variables in the me being pro-choice would be the rights of the mother, the impact on society, the rights of the unborn child, and the rights of the father. And people are going to hierarchically prioritize these things differently. And this is why I disagree with you that we can't logically get to it, because people are going to put, I've debated a lot of Christians, okay? Because I wanted to, like I said, I'm an ally of Christianity, and I wanted to find.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Not my hierarchy at all.
Yeah, What? Say again?
That's not my hierarchy at all. I don't have that problem. Because you put out several different concerns when considering abortion. I have exactly one, and that is bodily autonomy. I can establish a universal moral principle of bodily autonomy. Again, I can do this selfishly or selflessly, and I can back it up with evidence. And I can say bodily autonomy is a good thing. Therefore, the only single concern I have is the bodily autonomy of the pregnant person. If the person who is pregnant does not want to be pregnant, then they don't have to be, because that is their autonomy that's being favored. No hierarchy.
Yeah, I never got the C-19 vax, despite the totalitarianism of the left. Are you okay with that?
There's no totalitarianism in encouraging you to care about your neighbors. But it sounds like you're jumping topics again.
No, I'm just giving you a counter to. I'm not sure you're for as much bodily autonomy as you're claiming.
If you chose I don't think anyone should be forced to get any vaccine. I think that vaccines should be strongly encouraged because they're effective, they're safe, and they save lives, more than just the life of the person who's being vaccinated. I think if you want a certain job and that job requires a vaccination, then you don't get that job if you're not vaccinated. That's about those people's freedom as well as yours. And if you want to be in a certain position, do a certain thing, go to a certain place, board a certain flight, whatever, those private individuals have the right to say, we only want vaccinated people here. We care about our health and safety. We care about the health and safety of everybody else in this room. So we're going to prioritize that. And if you don't want to be a part of it, you don't want to be a part of it. If you want to work at Disney, you don't get to wear a puka shell necklace and flashy jewelry. They have the right to say that. If you want to wear that shit, go wear it on your own time, right? So there's an example of a friend of mine who tried to get a job at Disney when he was a kid, and they tell him, you have to get rid of your puka shell necklace. And he was like, this is my thing. It's my identity. You either get the job or you wear the fucking necklace. So if you want to go to a school, if you want to go to this college, if you want to get this job, if you want to get on this cruise ship, whatever, show your vaccination records. That's it. Freedom.
Well,
equal.
But I'm just showing you that, and you articulated it that the bodily autonomy in the case of the C-19 vax was subordinate to
who forced you to get a vaccine?
Society, and that.
Who took away your bodily autonomy and forced you to get a vaccine?
There was extreme pressure and coercion in 2021.
That's not a removal of bodily autonomy. That's not a removal of bodily autonomy. The government, hold on. That's not a removal of bodily autonomy. People encouraging you to do the right thing is not a removal of bodily autonomy.
You don't think that people being told they're going to lose their jobs or they can't be admitted to college where they put in all kinds of money and years, you don't think that's a form of coercion? I would disagree with you.
I literally just got through telling you those private businesses and private institutions have every right to set the rules on what has to happen for people to get in there. As long as they're not discriminating against you based on race, sex, gender, religion, sexuality, or any other protected class, they have a right to protect themselves and the other people in that organization and their bodily autonomy and their choices. Nobody forced you to change anything about your body or to put anything in your body. They said, if you want to be here, you need these vaccinations. It's the same thing in public schools. When I was a kid, I had to be vaccinated against meningitis before I got to enter middle school. If I didn't want to do that, if my parents didn't want to do that, I could have been homeschooled. Nobody forced me to do anything. If I want to be there,
Okay,
I need to keep myself and my peers safe. So if you don't care about keeping
Okay,
people
well-
safe and you don't want to do the vaccine for whatever weird reason you have, then you don't do it. That's it. And if you have a medical exemption, submit a medical exemption, and we're fine, and you're not being discriminated against.
One of the great heroes on the left, Noam Chomsky. I'm paraphrasing, but he's
Not one of my heroes.
Well, not anymore, maybe, but he was what he said. I'm paraphrasing. He said something like, "If the unvaxxed can't get food, that's their problem." So I'm just
Okay,
telling you,
that's Noam
Biden
Chomsky.
actually tried
I'm
to-
not Noam Chomsky.
Biden,
Kind of a big name dropper,
Biden-
and I'm not really sure what that accomplishes. And beyond that, I'm still curious, John, if we're atheists and we don't believe in a God, do you feel like that we have no moral rudder? Is that really what's underneath all this? Do you feel like Forrest and I don't know right from wrong, help from harm?
No, not necessarily. I think people can be atheists and still be moral. I do believe that having a look. I'll be honest with you. I fear hell. You know, I don't
I'm
want
not
to go
talking
to prison
about
either.
hell. I want to know if we are moral and we don't believe in a God, how did that happen using your model?
Well, I think that if you treat people good with kindness, if you don't wrong anybody who hasn't wronged you, then I would say that, you know, I'm just speaking generally, but I would say you could definitely be a moral person.
Ethical, pro-social behaviors that benefit all and benefit myself happening in the natural world, no higher power involved, that kind of thing.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's. I'm not saying that all atheists are immoral. I'm not.
I didn't say anything about all right? But our exception just broke your rule. That's all I'm saying.
Well, there can be exceptions to things. You know, like there are things that I could do that I think would send me to prison and not to hell, and also vice versa. So there can be exceptions to things, and I think context matters.
I think,
you know, like
I think the biggest thing here that's really the most important is what you just said there at the end. Is you were talking about how you fear hell, and what Seth and I are trying to get across to you. What Seth just pointed out, we develop morals on our own. We didn't need any of this stuff. I've been trying to tell you this whole time, I can think out my morals. I can give you Kohlberg's structure of moral hierarchy as I understand it, and how moral development works and where my morals come from. We're sitting here on this side with people who have like logicked and reasoned our way into morality. And what you're telling me is you fear hell, which is, that is very low level morality in my opinion. That is just a bad person on a leash. I don't want to be hurt. The guy in charge said do this, so I'm going to do this. Whereas we're over here thinking about what's actually best for our society, for our friends, for our neighbors, even for strangers. We want a universal moral principle of basic human rights. Everybody gets those no matter what. Here are these people I've never even heard of before, may not even agree with, may think totally different things. I want them to have basic human rights too. This is the world that I want to live in. This is a better world that I want to build. No reward, no punishment. That's the right thing to do, so I'm going to do it. And you're saying, I don't want to be punished, so I'm not going to do it.
But ultimately, you just make it up, don't you? And you have to appeal to force for it. You don't.
Nope. As I've explained earlier, we can actually root these things in empirical evidence, and we can use logic and reason to, for lack of a better word, intelligently design our moral systems. And yes, they are culturally dependent. And yes, they change and evolve and grow over time. That's what makes them good. That's what makes them work. Because as we grow as a species, as a society, we win new rights, we learn new things, we uncover new truths, we change our minds, we get better and better every day. There's probably something that I'm doing today that I will think is immoral in 20 years. And I'm excited for that because that means I'll become a better person.
I think your religion is wokeness and queer theory. That's what I think your religion.
I don't think you know what either of those things mean. What's wokeness?
Oh, wokeness is the villainization of whiteness. That is the opiate of the left.
Nope.
And
don't villainize white people. I don't actually believe that race is a real thing. It's a social construct.
Here we go with the social constructs. Yeah, this is postmodernism. When you were talking about deconstruction earlier, that's Derrida.
Nope, not postmodernism at all. It's actually just basic anthropology.
Okay.
Postmodernism would assert that I don't know what whiteness is. I'm telling you that whiteness doesn't exist fundamentally.
I'd love for John to take a DNA test, by the way. I just think, I just throw that out there, right? We are all Africans, John. We are all the human species. We are all the human condition kind of deal.
Yep.
Yeah, race is an attempt to simplify ethnicity. And if I do a DNA test, they're going to tell me my ethnicity. And it actually makes sense in a practical way, for several reasons that, if just for example, that if police are pursuing a suspect, they can eliminate, 80% of the population or whatever, just by saying a person is perceived to be, not white or not whatever. So there is some practicality to it.
We're talking about genetics versus physical characteristics, but hang on just a second. Are you wanting us to believe that white people are persecuted in this country?
I think that in the last 30 years, and it's really accelerated in the last 10 to 15 years, there's two types of the way white men can act. Straight white men. It's like straight you two. I'm assuming you're straight. Forgive me if you're not, but you two that forever have to apologize and kowtow and talk about your white privilege, or me that says fuck this, I ain't doing it.
Apologize for what? For whiteness? Who's asked for that?
What? Yeah, when have I ever apologized for being white?
Yeah. Am I apologizing for my eye color and my height as well, or?
You should.
I probably should, actually.
The summer of 2020, where the left was imposing totalitarian lockdowns, but they flip, they do a 180.
Totalitarian lockdowns that didn't happen.
Chaos, right?
Just out of curiosity, is this so? Just to be sure, it's fine if you want to go down this road, but this is the next thing that you're jumping to because you couldn't do the moral conversation again. So instead of talking about the thing that I just laid down that you told me I couldn't do and then I did in front of you, instead of addressing that, we're now moving on to the oppressive authoritarian lockdowns that didn't happen and the people that were fighting for civil rights because of disparity of violence towards racial minorities. That's where we're going now. That's the next thing that we're going to jump to, the next hot button issue.
And the single most privileged class in the United States is somehow now a victim in your story. Is that what I'm hearing?
Oh, look, if you want to go back to, I can answer whatever question you'd like. You asked me a question about whiteness, so I was trying to explain that.
You understand?
What did I ask? Summer of 2020.
What did I ask you about whiteness?
The difference between acknowledging the racism and bigotry that the white majority in a very white-centric country has carried out on people of color, etc. Do you understand how acknowledging that and understanding the consequences of that, admitting that it happened and the damage that it caused, and understanding the embedded racism that does happen, bigotry, tribalism, it comes in so many forms, understanding it does happen in the hopes of defeating it to promote equality among the races and genders, right? You understand that's not an attack on white people. It's simply acknowledging that a privileged class of white oppressors fucked some people over, and they did it for centuries. And it's okay to be honest about that fact and then try to make things right and more equitable tomorrow. That's not an attack on white people.
Okay. Okay. Oppressor versus oppressed. This is the Frankfurt School. This is Herbert Marcuse, Oppressive Tolerance,
Another
1975.
name.
Oppressor versus oppressed.
More name dropping
The
instead of
man has
thoughts, John.
names.
Can you answer the question
I'm
that
just
Seth
telling
asked?
you. Yeah, I'm just telling you why you're crazy and where it comes from. Okay. So yes.
Another
Okay.
ad hom
So
there. I
Yeah.
like
So
that.
rather than addressing the point that Seth just eloquently made, you're just going to bring up more names of people you don't like rather than giving any
I'll
of your
address
own
it.
thoughts. Okay, great. What's your answer?
all kinds of other cultures throughout history, such as the Aztecs, the Moors, Genghis Khan, the Persian Empire, the Ottoman Empire, the Arab conquest of the 7th century, Imperial Japan, they were all doing very similar things. And there are about 25 million slaves in the world today, and they are primarily located in India, China, and Africa. But the left
How
doesn't
many
care.
of
All the
them
left focus-
are located in the United States, John?
None of that was an answer to what he asked you. None of it at all.
Okay, so no, here, wait. So you don't care what goes on outside the United States?
No.
Is that what we just
I do
said?
care, but
Is
that's
that what
not
we
the
just
s-
said
the-
at all?
That is not the conversation
care?
we are having. You were talking about the woke war on whiteness as a MAGA in the United States. And I say, actually, white males have been running the show since forever and have operated with an obscene amount of luxury and privilege and latitude and favoritism. And acknowledging that is not a war on white men. It's simply acknowledging that because we have to understand it to be able to make things more equitable tomorrow. I'm talking about that, and you start talking about every other part of the planet that is not
That's
of
done a
white
bad thing.
majority. I find that interesting, John.
Sounds like deflection.
Equity
to
is
me, is what it sounds like.
Equity is a delusion. It's a delusion of the left. Okay.
And yet another straw man talking point to get you away from the point that was just made. Do you think slavery was a bad thing, John? When we did slavery in this country, do you think that was wrong?
Looking at it through a historical lens, yes, but they didn't think it was wrong back then, and that's where I was trying to tell you that all kinds.
Do
of other
you,
cultures
as a
have done it.
person, think that it's wrong to own other human beings as property, John?
Yes, I do.
All right, cool. So when we did slavery and then we decided to stop doing slavery, do you think that it was as easy as just a stroke of a pen, we're not going to do slaves anymore, and then everybody was just happy and fine after that? Or do you think we had to acknowledge that this was an evil that we had done on a systemic societal level? And now we are going to take positive steps forward to make sure that we can't ever make this right, but we're going to get as close as we can to making this better and to just making this sure this never happens again. And we make things better in the future. We have a brighter tomorrow. What do you think is reality when we ended slavery? Was it just bam and it's done? Or did we take steps to improve it and we acknowledged the problem and we made it better? What did we do?
We did. This was LBJ's attempt at the Great Society. This is affirmative action, but it's not systematic white racism.
Affirmative action wasn't around in the 1800s when we were fighting over slavery. All I asked was, when we did away with slavery, was it as easy as just doing it? Or was it a slow process that we had to work on? We had to acknowledge the evils that we had done and work forward. What happened?
No, that's what I was trying to say. Jim Crow ended about 60 years ago, and we've made attempts to.
Wasn't even talking about Jim Crow. Was just talking about slavery. Can't be this hard to understand what I'm saying, John. It sounds like you're dodging because you know where I'm going with this. So I'll just skip to the point since you don't want to get there. The point is, when we did something evil as a country, not an individual person did something evil, this nation did something evil. White people in control did something evil and gained a lot of benefit through their evil actions, by oppressing people, by committing genocide, by committing the most heinous atrocities in the history of humanity. They gained a lot of wealth and a lot of power. And so in order to make things better, they didn't just stroke a pen across a paper and say, sorry, we won't do it anymore. They had to acknowledge the evil that had been done and work over the course of generations, decades, centuries, to improve and ameliorate the situation for everybody. And I'm telling you right now, the work still ain't done yet. And so now what we're talking about today is the same thing. No one's asking you to apologize for being straight or white or a man. That's stupid bitch behavior to think that you were oppressed and put upon, because all we're asking you here is acknowledge the fact that something shitty happened. You don't have to apologize for it. Acknowledge that people like us did something shitty for a long fucking time and benefited from it for a long time and still benefit from it today, and then put in the work to try to dismantle that and take away any remnants and vestiges of that evil from our society today to make our society better, to ameliorate that situation, to do away with that evil, to denounce it and get rid of it and put it out of your life and live in a better world. And you can do that selfishly or selflessly through logic and reason and objective moral standards without a God, to bring it all the way back around to the back.
Are you there, John, or was that too woke or queer for you?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right.
Can you hear me?
I mean, 40 minutes with John. I'm trying to decide, Forrest. I mean, are people having a good time with this, or?
I mean, it's been interesting.
I mean,
John,
we also have the joy of talking to someone who is pitching morality, who's a Trump supporter, and that's a little bit of a challenge for me as well, John.
It is fun. It is fun. I was going to get there later. I don't know. We can jump there now if you like.
I mean, we can skip it if you want, but I mean, so I mean, are you using an objective moral standard given to you by your higher power as you support a sexual predator, con, grifter, and man-child, or?
I don't ever want the left. I'm somebody who supported Democrats 20 years. I don't ever want the left to have power again. The left is a deranged totalitarian nihilistic cult. I don't.
Okay,
oh man,
so
you don't like things like you don't like things. Exactly. You don't like things like economic prosperity, social progress, or having a stable foot on the world stage. You would rather make sure that those people that you don't ideologically agree with lose, even if it means voting for a pedophile Nazi who calls immigrants animals with bad genetics that cause them to commit more crimes, like fucking Hitler talk, like we talked about at the beginning of the show. That's all worth it to make sure that these people you don't like don't get any power, where they might do something horrible like improve education funding or make sure that children have free lunch at school. All those awful things like healthcare. Totalitarianism, as it were.
I don't like the left's ideas of open borders and trans women.
I don't believe in open borders.
Right. Oh, so you just
I would like to participate in this conversation, if I may. Okay?
Yeah, please.
So this is the Fox Newsification of the conversation. We can talk about trans people in sports and the challenges that we see as far as how sports needs to adjust with our increasing and expanding knowledge when it comes to sex and gender. But I'll tell you, the stuff that's impacting 360 million Americans right now, that is groceries prices, that is healthcare, that is education, that is science and science-based medicine, that is foreign policy, that's the bombs being dropped in Iran and the escalations of potential political violence worldwide. We are seeing things affecting people on a day-to-day basis, but the distraction is, because they don't want us talking about that, is to throw out abortion and trans people. They want us talking also about immigrants and the border, as if they're all border rapists who've come to take everything that we have and ruin our lives. And I've talked to MAGAs left and right. I can't find fucking one of them that's able to give me a single example of anything that an immigrant, documented or otherwise, has taken from them. And the truth is, Fox News and right-wing media and the Trump administration want us talking about immigrants, so we aren't talking about the billionaires.
Look, the left. There's
that was too many big words. We got to go back to the left.
No. There's a SA crisis in Western Europe, and we would have had these problems a lot more in the U.S. if President Trump hadn't have stopped it. This is your idea of equity.
So just to be clear, you're talking about how we need You're talking about, John, before you get to the next racist talking point about the average IQ, about whatever minority you don't like, just to be really clear, you're talking about the sexual assault crisis going on in Donald Trump. And so you voted for someone who was a convicted rapist who bragged about walking into the changing rooms of the beauty pageants he owned to get to see women, including underage girls, naked without their consent because he's the owner and so he gets to do it, and bragged about sexually assaulting women and grabbing them by the pussy, and bragged about how hot his daughter is and encouraged a radio show host to call his daughter a piece of ass, and said that he would be dating his daughter if she wasn't related to him, and said of his infant daughter before she could even talk that he hopes she grows up to have her mother's big tits. That's the guy who's protecting us from the sexual assault crisis that you're concerned about, right? Despite the fact that, statistically speaking, by your own Justice Department, immigrants commit less crimes per capita than natural-born citizens. So the data's against you, reality's against you, your president is a fucking rapist and a pedophile, but you'd rather support that because he's saying the same racist talking points that you are.
As long as he owns the libs, right, John?
As long as he trolls the libs by acting like a petulant fucking child and posting images of himself shitting all over America and sending the government, the military in to attack American citizens. He literally just released his counterterrorism plan last month where he declared anyone who's against fascism is a terrorist. So Americans standing up for American ideals, that makes you a terrorist now. But that's not the totalitarianism of the left, who wants to do things like build better roads and hospitals and encourage you to get a vaccine, but never force you to do it. Right?
Well, if you want to go over C-19, man, we certainly can. But
is that where you want to jump to next? Is that where we're running to now? This conversation is too scary.
No, you talked about vaccines, and that's why I said that.
We talked about vaccines a lot. I think it's interesting that you see Donald Trump up there, Donald Trump, who's calling human beings animals that are bad genes, that there's something genetically wrong with them, that they come to our country and commit more crimes. Donald Trump, who is up here talking about eugenics and Nazi talking points. And you don't have an issue with that. Donald Trump, who is a convicted rapist, you don't have a problem with that. But this nebulous boogeyman of some immigrant that's going to come over here and do some bad thing, that's the real problem. And this issue of, what do we have, like 11 trans athletes in the NAACP or whatever the hell it's called? No, not NAACP. That's a different organization. What's it called? The Athletics Association? I don't know anything about college sports. But the NCAA, that's what it is. NCAA. Very different organization. We have like 11 fucking trans athletes in the NCAA. And that's the major concern. Meanwhile, like Seth talked about, none of us can fucking afford gas. None of us can afford groceries. Nobody can afford a house. People are dying because they can't get health care. People's insurance prices are going up hundreds of percent. The government, Trump literally just said on camera that he doesn't care about your financial situation. He just wants his war. And then J.D. Vance had to come out and be like, he didn't mean that. And then he came out and said, no, I fucking meant that. I meant that. The war is what matters. I don't think about what Americans can afford. The dude didn't even fucking know the word groceries. He bragged on camera that he invented the word groceries to win the election because he doesn't think anybody talks about it. A fucking senile billionaire pedophile. That's your guy to protect you from the big bad boogeyman immigrant that's going to come and take your jobs and rape your wives. Oh, glob. Meanwhile, you've got Kamala Harris in the last election, by the way. Kamala Harris, who said that she supported a comprehensive reform to our border policy and supported a bipartisan border protection bill that both parties came together, unheard of. Democrats and Republicans came together and put forward a border protection bill that would have massively improved this problem. And Donald Trump shot it down. Kamala Harris supported it and said, when I'm elected, I'm going to make this happen. You voted against her, and then Donald Trump destroyed it so that he had something to bitch about and could continue scaring you with these evil immigrants that don't exist. He makes problems. He blames Democrats for problems. You believe him, and then he takes your fucking money. He's earned billions of dollars off this presidency on his fucking crypto coin scam and everything else. We just bombed the shit out of another country that we already claimed had already lost. Remember a couple of months ago when we had a nuclear deal in Iran that was working, but because it had Obama's signature on it, Trump tore it up. And then Iran started building nukes again because they weren't confined to the deal that we had. So we bombed the fuck out of Iran. Trump said we have completely obliterated their nuclear program. They will never recover. And then 3 months later, we're at war with Iran because they have nukes. What? Your dude is a fucking failure and a pedophile. And you're up his ass instead of caring about reality because what? Some boogeyman might get you. Real smart, John.
No, the left is crazy, and y'all are subverting Western
Oh, but the
civilization.
left is crazy. Oh, man. Hey,
Yeah.
what crazy
Well,
thing did the left do that you actually have evidence for?
The borders are Kamala, and the Biden administration allowed about 10 million illegal immigrants into this country.
You mean Kamala Harris? Kamala Harris, who was assigned, just really quick, Kamala Harris, who wasn't in charge of the border at all, but was assigned to 3 countries to try to reduce immigration to those countries and succeeded. She reduced immigration from those countries she was assigned to by doing humanitarian aid and making those countries places where people didn't want to leave anymore. And so she actually significantly reduced illegal immigration in the limited capacity that she had. She wasn't in charge of the whole border. And now we have Trump over here who still hasn't built a wall, still hasn't made anybody but you pay for what he has built, still hasn't fixed the problem, and we have fucking Nazis marching through the streets. ICE is rounding up anybody who's brown and nearby because the Supreme Court has given them license to detain people based on their skin color and their accents. And we're throwing them in concentration camps where we have credible reports from Amnesty International, the ACLU, internal whistleblowers, and the hundreds of American citizens who have been unlawfully detained and sent there because they weren't white about rape and abuse and torture and starvation and neglect. And we have thousands of immigrants that have just miraculously disappeared, just vanished from the records. Nobody knows where they are. That's a better situation for you than somebody who actually got the work done by following the Constitution. You'd rather follow Trump, who has said on camera he doesn't actually know if the Constitution should apply to him and is actively violating the 5th and the 14th Amendments with ICE fascists. So you call the left crazy because we believe in things like science. Meanwhile, you support a fascist, a pedophile, a rapist who sexualized his own children before they could fucking talk because that's the only way to protect you from the thing that was already being fixed. Again, I asked for anything you have evidence for. You've given me nothing more than just more fucking Newsmax talking points, bro. It sucks that you called in to ask all these questions, and literally every single time we talked about morality, we talked about COVID vaccines, we talked about bodily autonomy, we talked about Trump talk. Every single time you say a thing and we let you know why that's dumb as all fuck and here's what the actual evidence shows, and then you just jump to the next thing. Do you get tired running around that much, John?
So, look,
What was that?
I'll tell you
Still
why.
can't hear. Oh, there we go.
Look, I think the left is crazy, as I tried to mention earlier, that you all are telling us to shelter in place during C-19, and then you fucking flip and you encourage protesting, you allow chaos, riots, and looting. Okay? It's more hierarchical than hypocritical.
couple of major talking points there. Number one, chaos, riots, and looting didn't fucking happen the way you think it did. Well over 90% of BLM protests were peaceful, and the FBI reported that of the ones that did turn violent, it was mainly because of right-wing white supremacist agitators that were bussed in, that came out of state to cause violence and cause problems. So it was your team, not our team. Also, if you remember, a big part about COVID, a way to prevent it, was masking and being outside. The BLM protests that I attended and organized, I wore a mask and we were outside. So those were safety things we were able to do like intelligent people. Also, even if none of that was the case, Sorry, man. We went out there and fought for civil rights, and nobody forced you to be in your house. We encouraged social distancing. We encouraged you to stay in your house. We followed the evidence, and we kept you updated. You dumb motherfuckers didn't know how to keep up with that. Sorry. Sucks to suck. I wouldn't know. Anyway, with that, John, it's yet another situation where you bring up some bullshit that has nothing to do with anything at all and don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And it's been 51 miserable minutes. Seth, do you want to round us off on this call?
I'm good, thanks.
All right, John, have fun fucking yourself. Call back sometime. John calls in frequently, and it's always the same thing. Dude is so unbelievably MAGA cult. It is crazy. And every single time, this is what happens. Well, the left thinks these crazy things. Here's the evidence for it. Well, the left's going to let these horrible things happen. Here's Trump doing something much worse. Yeah, but the left... Blah, blah. And what? And what? And what? You're going to get health care? You're going to get free lunch? You're going to get affordable housing? What are we going to do? What's so bad? We believe in science, and we want you to have basic human rights. Eat my ass. It's ass flavored. We got 3 calls left. Seth, what do you want to do?
It's odd debate language. That's a new one for me.
I made it up myself. I didn't steal it from Jimmy at all.
Okay. I'll just take whoever's next in the queue, man. Michael works for me. So,
well, too bad, because he's an atheist, and we have one theist caller left.
Well, you can always save the theist for later in the show if you would like.
I guess. All right, we'll take Michael next. I hope Michael knows I don't want to talk to him. It's only Seth.
Michael, welcome to the show. Are you there?
Michael, you're on the line with Forrest and Seth. How you doing?
Oh, wait, hold up, guys. I gotta... Hello?
Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm all right.
All right.
What do you want to ask about?
I assume the screener summarized my call. Yes.
No, I want you to summarize it, Michael. What's on your mind?
Okay. Yep. That's good. I've been, of course, watching your show, and I've been looking at a lot of anti-apologist content, and a lot of the times I'll see theists bring up the moral argument for God, and which of course is objective morality exists. If objective morality exists, there must be an objective moral lawgiver. There is an objective morality does exist. Therefore, there's an objective moral lawgiver, which is God. Which of course, I refute that by you'd say objective morality doesn't exist and it can't exist. But what I've not seen people talk about, and what I'm surprised hasn't come up, is how a theist could say that their morality comes from what God thinks is correct, whereas an atheist could say something like their morality comes from whatever promotes human flourishing, or utilitarianism, whatever brings people the most, I guess you could say flourishing there too, and the least suffering, right? But for some reason, I've not seen people I've not seen theists come back at that and say well, why do you think those things are good? And that's something that I always I'm always surprised doesn't get brought up, and it's something I'm not really sure how to answer that, because that's come up in my own mind, and so that's something I'm not sure about.
I don't know if I understand. The theist has not asked you how you would know that promoting flourishing is good, how you would qualify that as good?
Proud of you.
I mean, it's just because I think when you get down to it, you have to have some sort of goal for your morality to get toward, right? For you to determine objectively whether something brings you closer to that goal. And
if the goal is human flourishing, you may be overthinking it, Michael. Are you saying that the believers that have been engaging with are saying if God asserts it, it is then moral by default. Whatever God wants is by declaration of God moral because God said it and wanted it, desired it, implemented it.
Well, I'm saying that they'd say that like whether you believe that what your morals are in line with is in line with that because of God or not, they'd say that like God wrote it on your heart, and
Yeah.
so
I've
whether
heard,
you
I've heard a
believe in
riff
him
on
or
this.
not.
Essentially, non-Christians are shoplifting a moral framework from a
Something like
specific
that.
God.
It's just like why why is human flourishing the goal? It's kind of
I don't know why that's
kind
a
of where
hard
I'm at, and
question.
I'm not sure.
I don't know that that's a hard question. Why would less suffering and more joy become a priority for people? To me, it seems like an easy one. Why would us reducing pain be a priority for us? I think these are pretty easy. I think you may be overthinking it, Michael. Yeah, I mean, we can know what it means to suffer less and flourish more.
Yeah,
I think it's
of
also
course.
important. You can, as I was talking about with the other caller, like you can take this selfishly or selflessly in either to equal measure. I can say selfishly that like the moral standards that I have are things that I want to live under. I want a society where I have basic human dignity. I want a society where I have equal rights. I want a society where I have bodily autonomy. I like philosophically, I see equality and liberty as inextricably linked. You can't have one without the other, and where one decreases, the other decreases too. So I want to maximize my liberty. I want to maximize my equality, and that will inevitably do that for everybody else. Or I can take it selflessly, and I can say, this is genuinely what I think is right, and so I'm going to sacrifice my time with the one life that I know I have, and my energy and my effort and my money in order to make this world a reality and do my best to make this world better. Like, I can do it either way I want. And I come to the same conclusion. This is right, and so I'm going to do what's right.
Forrest is just being shellfish, and I'm
True.
offended by it.
True.
Probably because he's a white male. But
yes.
I'm sorry, Michael.
And I'm sorry for it. I apologize for being a white male. I'm really sorry for being straight.
You victim, you.
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
you
Michael.
should
I
be very,
totally
very
piggybacked
sorry
my
about that.
snark on
Please
top
send
of your
send
call.
your condolences cards to P.O. Box 1810, Broken Arrow, Oklahoma 74013.
Michael, does any of that make sense?
It absolutely does. It's just you say like Forrest, you were saying like liberty and equality are inextricably linked. You can't have one without the other, and when one increases, the other increases.
Yep.
Something like that,
And
right?
vice versa. If they go up together.
And
If they go down, they go down together.
Of course, and those things are something you'd want to live in a world where both of them are like essentially as high as they can possibly be. If
Yep.
you want to take the selfish route, or you can take the selfless route where you want everything, you want everyone else to live in that same world.
Yeah,
Something like
and the
that.
fact of the matter is, whether I'm doing it selfishly or selflessly, the results will be the same. I just really want this world for myself, so I'm going to work tirelessly to create it. I really want this world for everybody else because it's the right thing to do, so I'm going to work tirelessly to create it. Like, either way, I'm going to have the same output.
Exactly.
I'm going to have the same outcome.
Sorry. This is that's the point where I'm stuck at. As like, I agree that like those things are good because like, I mean, I'd say because they promote human flourishing, but it's just, I don't know how I would justify why human flourishing is good, other than I'm a human and I want to flourish. If there is a way to do that. If there's not, then, I mean, you can
Yeah,
just
and
tell me that, because
so-
I don't want to like be the dead horse.
No. So at the end of the day, everything, every moral position, every idea, every philosophical point, whatever, is going to get back to the same trilemma. It's either Munchausen's trilemma or Agrippa's trilemma. I've heard both names to the same thing, but it's that inevitably every single principle that you espouse, if you go back why enough, eventually you will get to either special pleading, social reason, circular reasoning, or an infinite regression. So you're going to have something that is dogmatic, an axiom that you cannot go past, like, I just like, or you're going to have a circular reasoning. It's good because I'm a human, whatever like that. Or you're going to have an infinite regression where it goes back and back forever and it makes no sense. Every single thing ever, every position ever, you're going to have that problem. At the end of the day, like, you kind of have to just weigh your options and figure out what makes the most sense to you. And I think that the arguments for a God being this final thing, even though it has the exact same problems, is worse, because what we're talking about earlier, there's this moral law, there must be a lawgiver. Either A, that means God is the subject, and it's still just subjective morality, you're just deferring to someone else's opinion, which, who the fuck, why? If this God is real, its sins far outweigh your own. Who cares what it thinks about you? Or there is some sort of universal moral standard that is above this God. If this God cannot do anything that's immoral, and it's not just whatever this God says goes, and it's actually something beyond it, then that's the objective moral standard, and you don't need God in the middle. You can just look to that, and then you need to justify why you think that exists, and you're in the exact same position. At the end of the day, at the very least, I can say that my moral framework is grounded in things that I can at least prove exist and are logically consistent. And I can admit when there's gray area and nuance and fuzziness, and I can account for it and cope for it. And people can accuse me of being wrong or right or whatever, and we can come together as a society and work out the best path forward. And I wouldn't rather have that be any other way. It is slow, and it's difficult, and it's tedious, but it guarantees that nobody gets absolute control over everything and gets to just say, this is right and this is wrong. And if you have an issue with that, I encourage you to pick any one person who you think should allow you what to be and what to do and who to, how to talk and whatever. Like, same thing when we talk about free speech rules. Pick a person who you think should be able to tell you, you don't get to say this, you don't get to think this, you don't get to read this. I can't think of anybody. And it's the same fucking way when it comes to my behavior. I can't think of anybody that I trust to look up to enough, that has enough moral authority to tell me these are the things. This is for us all to decide together.
Yeah, that makes total sense. So if I had to try and condense my understanding, it's that if you say that your morals rest on what is good for human flourishing, it would be essentially, I guess, of course, let me know if this isn't what you're saying, but it would be somewhat illogical to question that, because then you just get in an infinite regress of why.
I mean, inevitably, inevitably you're going to do that with anything. But like I said, you can still find objective things to put your feet on, to ground yourself on. That doesn't mean just because literally every philosophical construct ever has that same problem. It doesn't mean that you can't objectively ground yourself in something and then try to build a worldview out of it. That's what we're encouraging everybody to do.
Of course, yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
I don't know, Seth, am I missing anything?
I think we've covered it.
All right.
I think you have too.
Awesome.
Thank you, Michael.
Well, thank you, Michael. Have an awesome rest of your day, my dude.
Thank you too. And I just, could I say one more thing?
Yeah.
Yes.
I just want to say, I'm not sure, because I watch clips from the line, and I don't usually look at, or I don't always look at the dates, but Forrest, I've seen sometimes when you're talking with theists, you'll use she, her pronouns for God, and I just think that's, I thought that was pretty cool, and I'm gonna start.
It's a lot of fun because they start caring about pronouns.
I was waiting for
fast.
one of them to call you out on it, and then get into why they think that might be wrong, but surprisingly none of them have. Which, I mean, I guess that's a point for the theists you're talking to, I guess.
It happens. Yeah, I've had some of them get pissy, but generally speaking, they have to be okay with it because God's genderless and all these things, right?
Yeah, of course.
Anyway, have an awesome rest of your day, Michael.
Yeah, you too.
Bye.
I am releasing a version of the speech that I gave when I was doing the event with you and Erica in Tulsa. I did a longer version of the speech in Calgary at the We Can Reason, the Western Canadian Reason Conference about Jesus, specifically white Jesus, and the nature of God and how it so often looks kind of like us, or at least the us that validates us, right? So we're able to go through all these things. So the patriarchs like them a man Jesus. They want a he Jesus, and white
a Jesus,
people want
if you will.
Go ahead.
A Jesus, if you will.
A Jesus. White people want a white Jesus, and then people throughout the world have Christ figures that validate their own particular ethnicity or goals or how they look or what they do or what they want, and I find that really, really interesting. But it is funny, the people who lose their minds about pronouns. If you change Jesus's or Yahweh's pronouns, they lose their minds. I didn't know you did that. That's actually pretty clever. It's pretty funny.
I do it a lot. Either she or they. I refer to God as an it all the time, and that's another thing is I love to point out the God of the Bible, instead of just referencing God with a name, the God of the Bible, lowercase g, it's just that one, and it does these things, and I don't like what it says. I find that's another way, not only to it's not just to be antagonistic, but also to kind of help show, like reinforce, like, hey, I don't owe this thing deference. We don't have to have a respectable conversation about this thing. We can talk about it like any other God. That God said that, and that God said that. It's not special. You know what I mean?
I just think Jesus' humor is funny for the same way. He's hanging on the cross. It's like, not going anywhere? Try a Snickers. Those memes crack me up. And I think part of it is that the stuff that used to control me, I'm liberated from. So it's a liberation exercise. Whenever whenever you see the Buddy Christ photos from the screenshot from Dogma, you've got something else. I think we're taking power back from the thing that used to supposedly be the eye in the sky that was watching everything we do and was listening to everything we thought. And now we say, no, you don't scare me anymore. So that's pretty funny. So anyway.
I made a meme that I forgot to post, and I keep remembering that I forgot and that I should remember, and then I forget again. But it's just a picture. It's Jesus on the cross, and it just says, "What's the charge? Eating a meal, a succulent Chinese meal." Oh, I wish that was in the Bible so bad, dude.
Like Jesus in the salon getting his nails done, and they actually have the nails going through, and someone's literally painting the end of the nail, and just shit like that. It's awesome. It's just awesome.
Get your hands off my penis. This is Democracy Manifest. That dude has been my hero since I was a little kid.
I don't understand the reference.
Oh, you know what I'm talking about? Bro, okay, so this is old internet lore. I'm going to send you I'm going to put a link in the chat right now because it's astounding to me. You have no idea what I'm talking about. It was this dude, it's this old, I guarantee if I look up, I didn't have to type in the whole word. I typed in half the word of succulent, and I got succulent Chinese meal that came out. So this is this dude, Jack Carlson, being arrested. I think this is the right video. I'm going to look it up.
Succulent.
Yes.
Chinese meal?
Yeah, succulent Chinese meal. And you'll see it. I'm putting a link in the chat right now, so you don't even have to look it up if you don't want to. It's a video of a guy. I think he's Australian. And it's
a wiki page.
Yeah, I'm sure he does. He's a fucking hero. And so it's this clip. I just put it in the chat. And it's this dude being arrested. And they're dragging him out. It's fucking like 5 cops on him. And he's being dragged like, what's the charge? Eating a meal? A succulent Chinese meal? And he starts like talking and like put him in the car. He's like, what, you assured me that I could speak. And they're like, we didn't promise you anything. Get in the car. And he's like, oh, you're trying to use your judo on me, I see. And there's a guy in the car like trying to pull his legs in. He's like, get your hands off my penis. This one's got me by the penis. Are you ready to receive my limp penis, sir? And they're dragging him in the car, and the last things he says is like, gentlemen, this is Democracy Manifest. Ta-ta and farewell. And he gets pulled in. It's so good. It's this amazing clip, and it's 1,000 years old.
I have bookmarked this for when we're done at 10 p.m. and 15 seconds. I will be watching.
It's the best.
Watching this video.
Oh man, yeah, no, I saw that when I was a little kid, and it's lived in my heart forever, and it's just great. And so that's why I say I made a meme of Jesus on the cross saying, "Yo, what's the charge? Eating a meal, a succulent Chinese meal?" And I want to post it. I keep forgetting to fucking post it. Anyway,
Wow.
let's talk to Sam, who is calling in to say some people have a need for God, and it might be genetic. That's an interesting topic. Sam, you're on the line with Forrest and Seth. I've got gender fluid listed here. Am I to take that to mean any pronouns are good?
Yep.
Sick. All right, Sam. What do you want to talk about?
Oh, well, I had wanted to speak about the idea about how you can't really choose your beliefs, and just like seeing how I've been trying for so long to deprogram myself, and been a fan of the show, but I still get all of the same fervor from gospels and prayers, that like maybe there's something deeper within that makes like worship for a God like something needed on a biological level. Like if I'm unable to reason myself out of it by learning more about the Bible, and like my hell dreams have stopped after I at a certain point about with learning things of saying how the Bible couldn't be true because of Noah's flood, and things like the Bible justifying slavery, but still I get all of the same calmness or fervor from a prayer or from a gospel song, and I still like singing songs about Jesus. So then maybe it might be something deeper where we do have a need for God.
If I may, Sam, much of this has been studied. The meditative effect of having prayer is really more about the practice of prayer. It's about connecting with other people who are praying with us. There is another conversation is going to be the efficacy of prayer. It's like the people I was talking about at the beginning of the broadcast when the EF4 tornado goes through their house and 50 people die in the city and $1 billion in damage are done. They call out in prayer because they are reaching out, because they are panicked. And afterwards, they are praying because they are looking for medicine. They're looking for a balm. None of this validates prayer. It says something about us as human beings. When people come together to pray for one another, quite often, what's happening really is a human experience. They are having a human moment of support and connection. And even though they have been sort of hardwired in many ways to express that in religious language, they are practicing a kind of humanism. When someone goes to church and they have communal music and everybody sings a worship song together, they are getting an endorphin rush. Endorphins are about pleasure, and they're also a bonding agent. And it brings people together. You get the same effect at a church worship service that you would get maybe at a concert where the artist is singing one of your favorite songs from the stage. So you are talking about experiential things that bring positivity or supposedly positivity to our lives, but none of it requires a supernatural. Right? None of it requires a deity or a spirit or an otherworldly thing beyond the membrane of this plane, etc. All of it really stems back to human chemistry and the human experience. And so I would just say, yeah, I get it. Some people get a transcendent feeling, whether or not they are praying or worshiping, or maybe they've adopted a religious mindset and they find comfort in that. But none of that speaks to, is it true? And are we actually doing a human thing and we can remove the supernatural quotient and just enjoy it based in reality? Does any of that make sense, Sam?
Yeah, it makes sense. My whole thought is just that, like, if it could be something that still have such a strong pull, is that I don't not mean that it's something that we should nourish. Should I not, like, pretty much keep up the same practices because
this is something that my biological body enjoys.
Well, okay. If you get a rush out of it, does that make it true? Did I lose you?
If I get a rush out of it, does it make it true?
If you enjoy something, then is it true?
I mean, like, I
I'm
don't
leading you in a
understand.
certain
Like,
direction for those who wonder if I'm losing my mind here. What I'm trying to get to is if it's not true, should we embrace it? And so I am not convinced that anyone needs those religious things to be able to extract from those experiences the things that they are getting. Does that make better sense, Sam? Forgive me.
I don't. I guess I still don't understand. I was going to say, maybe we still do. I mean, it's not hurting anyone, and to still
How do
have
you
a
know that?
practice of doing all those same things.
How do you know that?
Hmm?
How does practicing something that is
Because
not true and then really by default promoting something that is not true, how do you know there's no bad effects from that?
I guess I wouldn't be able to explain it. I wouldn't know.
So, Sam, the chat says you called the show earlier today. Is that right?
Yes.
Did you ask him the same question, and did they have an answer for you?
No, I didn't ask them the same question. We had a discussion about gender.
Forrest, I don't know. I'm not sure I'm explaining myself very well. I'm supposed to be a professional communicator. I don't know. Maybe you can put it in a better way than I have.
No, I think you've kind of hit all the major talking points here. All the major points. It's just like I agree that like humans tend to revert to whatever belief is comfortable for them. Whenever they're scared and confused, I don't think that necessarily tracks them to say that there's some biological component to religion. I agree that humans are prone to apophenia and pareidolia, and that we look for patterns and meaning when they aren't really there, and that is kind of helps build religion, but that doesn't mean that we are going to necessarily always do religion.
Some of that speak to the gaps too. We don't like gaps in our knowledge, and so we are prone to, So
absolutely, there's a million reasons you can come up with, like biological reasons and psychological reasons why religion may happen and where religious thinking comes from. But to assert that, therefore, we can just call this kind of a net meh, or maybe even a positive, and that there's no harm in believing bad things or untrue things, I think that's a massive stretch. And to say that would ignore the fact that there's plenty of situations, like off the top of your head, you can come up with plenty of situations where believing something that isn't true is actually quite harmful. There's the reason why we have the phrase drinking the Kool-Aid, right? So, like, if somebody can convince you to believe absurdities, they can convince you to commit atrocities, they can, you can do horrible things because you believe silly things. And if you try to believe as few false things and as many true things as possible, I think generally speaking, it's fair to say you're going to have a safer and easier and better life. And if you need like mechanisms to get around that, to cope and to deal with life, secular mechanism, the best thing I can give you is just time and patience with yourself, giving yourself the time and opportunity to handle things and going out and seeking real science-backed therapy. You don't need to revert to pseudoscience and superstition to give yourself the peace and the grace and the time and the patience and whatever else you need in your life.
Well, to explain my confusion, like yes, of course it would be bad to believe bad things, and I wouldn't necessarily know how you would make sure a group of people aren't following like bad beliefs. And to the point you just made, Forrest, but like the experiences I have with religious coded things are like nowhere near achievable with secular things. Like a gospel song and like any secular song, like there's no comparison. It would never make me feel the extreme emotion that a gospel song would. So like maybe not go ahead and have the terrible. I don't know how Christianity was the one to beat out all the other ones. Like
Mainly
now
genocide.
that I read the Bible as an adult, but I mean, maybe just for us to be worshiping some sort of God is just something that is just human and just something that we should be doing.
Well, no, I don't see it that way at all. I think the more we understand our universe or our world, I'll start with our world. We don't really understand a lot about the universe, but the more we come to understanding, the smaller gods get. And I don't think these things are necessary for a good, fulfilled, and healthy life. I understand the utility of religion. I understand why it's appealing. I understand the power it has. I tend to think that, even though people have long looked to the skies and assigned supernatural agency to a great number of things, we used to think that lightning from the sky was the anger of the gods. And then we understood what lightning was, and that god disappeared. We used to think that epileptics had demon possession. We understand epilepsy now, and gods and demons disappear. And time again, the more we begin to understand things, we know that no God is really required for that scenario to work. And often that understanding helps us to make better decisions and have better attitudes. I would encourage you to focus more on the human condition, on our own shared humanity, and look at all the stuff that religion may do well. They do a lot of stuff very well. They do community. They have a lot of support systems very well. They're extremely well organized, and all of those things. But take a look at them from a fresh perspective and say, well, how much of that is God and how much of that is just human beings, even if they've built a God or made a God or painted a God or sing about a God, how much of that is just human beings? And I'll bet time and again, you will say it's mostly just people being people. No gods are really required to get the good stuff. So I don't know. That would be my encouragement to you. Okay, Sam?
Okay. Do we really need the gods to still get all the good stuff?
I missed it. Say it again.
Oh, I was summarizing what you told me to ask myself.
Yeah.
Do we really need a God to get all the good stuff? I think so.
I
but
think
I'll think
there's
on
been
it.
a lot of ink spilled about why, if you go across the world and through the generations, you will find that people have long looked to the skies and have long gravitated toward the idea of a God, and why there are tens and tens and tens of thousands of different religions in the world. And many people, apologists, like to say, well, isn't all of this evidence that there must be a God? Well, I think it just means that we are us. Human beings filling the gaps in our knowledge, human beings desperate for comfort, hoping that something up there has an actual plan in this crazy and chaotic world, because the idea of a planner gives us some semblance that maybe somebody's in control and maybe there is a happy ending. We can see why the appeal of gods has been part of the generations throughout the human experience. But it doesn't mean that gods are real. And honestly, I think we're better off if we can disconnect from mythology and focus on humanity. And I hope you'll put your focus there, Sam. Okay.
Yeah, Sam, I would just ask yourself, anytime you're in this situation, is there any good, any benefit that you can get from these beliefs that you could not possibly get without them? And I don't think that there is. I've never found one yet. And is there any negative that you can get with these beliefs that you probably almost certainly wouldn't get without them? And yeah, there's a hell of a lot of them. So it's just not worth it, man. Not necessary.
The fact that a prayer could calm me down is like, I understand that maybe I could learn to meditate secularly, but I mean, I already
Well, that's
have
what
the
you're doing.
prayer. So
Can I hang on, Sam? Since you threw this out, all right. Let's say that I have cancer, all right, and I'm in the hospital, and you come, and you and several people pray for me. You pray for my restoration and healing. This is, in that context, an act of kindness because you genuinely want me whole. You're grieved that I'm sick, and you want to show me how much you care and be there for me at my bedside, petitioning on my behalf for God. On the surface, that sounds just fine. Unfortunately, we have to go past the surface because if I do not recover, what are the implications? That you either didn't have enough faith in your prayer, that I didn't have enough faith in my life to benefit from the prayer, or that I was potentially being punished for being a sinful human in a fallen world, and I was going to die anyway because God wouldn't answer my prayer, so that's false hope. And there are so many other possibilities attached. So if we only sit at the surface level, the gesture sounds nice. But there's a lot of really dark baggage that comes with this kind of thing. And I'll tell you, if I was in the hospital, I would want it just to be you and a few other people showing up to say, hey, we care about you.
Also, there is actually scientific evidence on this. The largest study, there have been plenty of studies on intercessory prayer in medical settings specifically, and the largest one was founded by something like $24 million by the Templeton Foundation. And the Templeton Foundation is wanting evidence of the supernatural. That is their goal. And they found that not only does prayer not change medical outcome, it worked about as well as random chance, but actually it was a double-blind randomized control trial. The people who knew that they were being prayed for had worse health outcomes because they knew it was happening, and it happened about as much as it worked as well as chance because it doesn't do anything. And then they would get depressed because they had high expectations and it didn't work as well, any better than chance did. And they would feel sad, and they'd have the kind of shame and guilt and anger and whatever that Seth was just talking about. I guess I'm not good enough. I guess they're not good enough. I guess God doesn't love me, whatever. And they would feel sad, and they would have worse health outcomes, more complications as a result of it. So ultimately, like I said, man, there's nothing good that can come out of these beliefs that you can't get without these beliefs. And there's nothing bad and there's plenty of bad that can come out of these beliefs that you wouldn't have to worry about if you didn't have them.
Or I guess maybe unfortunately, I would be the wrong audience because I never really had it taught to me that people dying was because of any lack of favor for God. So I would only see that by getting the family to pray together will be the only way how you convince 5, 6, 10 people to get together and say, hey, look, we care about you. And to do it in the prayer would be the only way how we know how to do it. And to not do a prayer, we wouldn't know how to convince the people to come together.
Why? Wait, you could only convince people to rally together in support of someone who was sick if you said we were going to have a prayer?
I never tested it out, but
well, let's try it.
Yeah,
dude. I'm just saying, if you have people that you call and you're like, hey, Bob's in the hospital, he had a stroke, we need to go up and see him and tell him we love him and we hope he gets better. And they say, are we having a prayer? And you say, I didn't have one planned. And they say, fuck that. I'm not going to go talk to Bob until you schedule a prayer. There's a bigger problem, don't you think?
Yeah, man.
Yes, I think that's what I need to think on. Where you told me, do we need God to have the good? I have made the arguments on before where it's I think if we remove God, the same feeling wouldn't be there. But like I said, I haven't done really testing to see.
I'll do you one better.
I never tried to.
I'll do you one better. I'll bet there are plenty of circumstances where if you remove God, everything gets better. Even if the outcome is darker, even if you have to acknowledge you live a finite existence, even though you may come to the realization that the universe does not revolve around you and you weren't adopted by a cosmic king and you're going to go get a crown and mansions and streets of gold and all that stuff, I'll bet in many, many, many instances, if you remove God, everything becomes better. It's better to navigate. You are rooted more in the real world and the human experience. You're not distracted by fantasies. You're not given false hope, so you can pursue the real hopes that are there, and you are not tethered to superstition. Imagine the possibility that sort of getting God off the table is a good thing. In fact, it's better than what you had. Okay?
But that's the whole thing. I don't go to heaven because, like, I don't know. Like,
Jesus,
yes, I
Sam,
am
are you listening to me?
and-
Are you listening
Yes.
to me? I'm talking about human goodness, okay?
Yes.
All right. I'm just sorry.
All right, man.
Was there something else that we were talking about? Because
No, I think we covered everything.
I thought we were talking about the benefit that you feel, and then he was talking about heaven. So I didn't mean to
Yeah.
derail you, Sam, but I felt like we were starting to go off into the weeds. Okay.
Also, you called in as an atheist. I don't think you believe in a heaven, and if you do, you might want to change your title. But anyway, Sam, with that,
I was gonna.
we're about. Well, I'll let you say this last thing. We're about at the end of the show, so this will be the last thing.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, yeah, I never had the idea if I'm gonna go to heaven as that treat. So that's what I was just gonna say, like,
oh,
yeah,
forgive
I'm
me
not one of
that I
those.
interrupted you. All right.
Gotcha.
Well, I guess what I really meant is, what is the charge, Sam?
Yes.
Is this democracy manifest, Sam?
Saying a prayer, a succulent Chinese prayer. Anyway, have an awesome rest of your night, Sam. Take care of yourself.
You too. Thank you.
Bye.
Good night.
I looked up and a screenshot of the guy popped up. Jack Carlson?
Yeah,
No,
with a
I
K,
have
yeah.
to see the video because the
He's
photo
amazing.
is him looking defiant with a fist in the air being shoved into a car.
That's what it is.
And it's
It's
over
a
the
great
quotes
clip.
that you just did. So now I've associated them forever in my mind. It's welded in there.
It's going to change your life. It's such a short clip, and I promise you will be absentmindedly quoting it for weeks.
Love it.
It's amazing.
Love it.
I think the thing that I learned about this is that if Seth's even in the hospital and you want his whole, you got to go say a prayer for him. I think that was the point of what you said, right? Something like that.
Yeah.
It was something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Just as a reminder, tune in tomorrow. I'll be on with Erica where we're doing Skeptalk, so we'll be talking about evolution all night. Then we've got Chewed Gum with Taylor and Alyssa, then Hang Up with Matt Dillhunty and Aaron Rabinowitz, then TACIS with Josie and Luxander, then Devangelicals with Sarah and somebody, and then all the way back around next Sunday where we've got Matt and Seth on the Sunday show and me and Eric on the After Dark show. So stay tuned for all of that. With that, Seth, any words of wisdom to send us away with today?
No, I have no wisdom left to give except. No, I don't have any wisdom. I was going to try to quote Democracy. What is the charge again? But I think that joke is pretty much dead for now. But it's been a pleasure hanging out with everybody, and it's always good to be on the air with you, brother. And so we'll see you on the road if that happens. We'll be listening because it may be me and Forrest and Erica at some point somewhere later in this year. If it happens, It'll be fun. So.
Likewise, on all account, love hosting with you, love doing this show in general. Thank you so much to Lux for producing tonight. Thank you so much to the apostate Paul for call screening tonight. Thank you so much to all of our mods in chat for keeping things civil and safe. Thank you to our people in chat, even the ones that sucked. Thank you to our callers, even the ones that sucked. Those are the people on the other side of the patrons. Be sure to join that Patreon if you like this channel and you want to see more of it. Also, go hit up Seth's channel. Do you have a Patreon? You should.
Yeah, nobody cares.
Go join his Patreon and go join everybody's Patreon. Go broke for us. Go broke for the woke. You're on the line. Have an awesome rest of your day. Never stop learning. Bye.